Welcome everybody to Dynasty Racing League's very first race of the 2018 season. This is the Shootout at Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm joined here by Martin Wenzel and Jordan Gonzalez, two members of the Dynasty Racing League themselves. Martin and Jordan, how you guys doing tonight?
Awesome, man. Yourself?
Fantastic, man. Martin, you around?
Yep. Just listening to the announcements from James Pandoff in the iRacing lobby.
All right, guys, this is a shootout for, this is sponsored both by Fastlane, Complete Car Care, and the Navy Chiefs. This is kind of a passing of the torch tonight. Essentially, the Navy Chiefs, they are the ones who sponsored last season's Cup Series. They are handing the sponsorship over to Fastlane this year. So how this works, this is the shootout. So anybody, there's been a couple seasons here with iRacing so far, or with the DRL so far. Anybody who competed in the Cup Series, the Winter Series, or the, what was it, the Grand National Series, I believe, last year in those K&N cars. Anybody who got a pole position?
Pro Series.
Oh, the Pro Series. So anybody who got a pole position or finished first in any of those races has been invited to the shootout tonight to compete here. How deep is the field here tonight, Martin?
It looks like 18 drivers have shown up.
So 18 drivers out of those that either started on the pole or finished first in any of those prior three series are here for the shootout at Daytona tonight. This is kind of just a fun race here tonight. Let all these guys get their feet wet and get a little time behind the car before the 18 season starts. Should be an exciting race. Everybody knows how Daytona goes. Plate track. Very, very fast. What is the speed these guys get up to around here tonight, Jordan?
During the daylight hours, they're getting up to 199, 200 miles an hour at the end of the back stretch, and I wouldn't expect them to go any slower here at the night track, where they're going to have plenty of grip, no sliding in the turns, or nowhere near as much as turns, so it's going to be pretty good. The question, though, is how well that outside lane is going to work. This new setup for the fixed cars, that outside lane has not really been able to make moves, and during practice, I didn't really see a whole lot of movement. We'll see what happens here tonight.
I can't wait. It should be really exciting. Let's go ahead and should be able to grid up here and show everybody who's starting what position. Eric Johnson qualified first in the 18 car. Daniel Hallis second in the number 72 car. Anthony Burrows starts in third. Chris Stouffer in fourth. Wade Hustad in fifth place. James Lorello in sixth. John Mullins in seventh, followed by David Wright in eighth position. Zach Wetstein in ninth, Blake Griffith in 10th, J.R. Hager in 11th, Zachary Smith in 12th, Clay Phillips in the 13th position, Adam Chapman in 14th in the number 83, Derek Pemberton starting 15th in the 81, Richard Springer, a DRL rookie, starts 16th, and Tater Bowman starts in the 17th position, followed by Brandon Redd in the 18th position. Ray Vasquez, I don't know if he posted a qualifying time or not.
No, Ray Vasquez is not part of the shootout. Just got into the lobby somehow.
Looks like we're going green.
I thought it was all right.
The 18th of Eric Johnson gets out to a nice quick start there, right as the pace car drops down into the infield.
All right, so we...
Go ahead, Mark.
Like one thing to remember is that these guys are from 3 different series. You had the Winter Series, the Pro Series, and the Cup Series last year. So a guy like Johnson, Burrows, Hustad, those are pretty good racers. And then you're gonna have some guys that got their poles and the B splits in the Winter Series and stuff like that. So got a little bit of a spread here in the talent.
Absolutely. You already see the outside lane kind of falling apart. The second place Daniel Hallis is falling all the way back. Was it a 9th, 10th place position or something like that?
Yeah, I wonder if Daniel Hallis is having some issues there in the 72. He seems he doesn't have anybody pushing him fast enough on the outside. We know these cars are really hard to suck up with. You can't really get directly onto the bumper of the guy in front of you, but that outside line has nothing going with only 3 of them out there.
And one of the things is, if there is something at the back of the pack. If you're at the back of the pack, you hope that the person in front of you is going to slow down and keep you at the pack. Otherwise, you will lose the draft. I already see that kind of happening all the way in the back of the Tater Bowman. Hopefully, ooh,
oh, and we already have a huge caution. It looks like the number 64 of John Mullins. Oh no, John Mullins goes around bad. Let's go back and take a look at this replay. Go back about 30 seconds here and see what happens on John Mullins' screen. Go to his in-car cam.
and by the way, sorry to bring this on the public mention here, but you might want to check your Discord real quick, Ranch.
Much of that.
Someone was saying that there was some blinking going on, but I didn't see anything from my replay view. So John Mullins just got turned a little bit.
Looks like he got slammed there. I'm going to go back, try one more time.
Yeah,
here.
James Lorello gets into the back of him and just nudges him, and that turns him and causes a wreck.
On the on-car camera of John Mullins, he is just cruising along, and he has no opportunity there. His car goes completely sideways almost instantly. Was that got into him, you said, Tater? Or Martin?
James Lorello, the 13.
Go look from Zarello's point of view. We'll back up a little bit here and see what he looks like.
It looks like he didn't hit him very square either. Bump draft going wrong.
See, he's heading right into him. Oh, and he looks like he was just trying to bump draft, but maybe he was headed into the corner just as John Mullins went to turn left, and that's what made it come out from underneath him. That's a sad end to John Mullins' race.
So it looks like Zach Wetstein in the 99 is going to be out for the rest of the race. So early end for the night for him.
That's unfortunate. He took a break from iRacing because of wrecks all the time, and then comes back his first race and within 1 lap or 2 laps, really. So,
I know Zach definitely he took a lot of time off. He was kind of disappointed there towards the end of last season, and he took a lot of time off of iRacing. He disappeared for probably 2 to 3 months during the entire Winter Series because he wasn't satisfied with how he was finishing races. He was kind of upset that he was getting wrecked as much as he was, and very first race back, yeah, that's unfortunate to happen to him.
Yeah, last season he had 5 top 5s and 8 top 10s, 1 pole, so that's how he got into the shootout with a 1 pole.
He was able to keep up with some of the faster drivers for the short run, so he definitely has some what do you call it? He's got the potential to be up there with your Eric Wolves and Anthony Burrows. Hopefully he gets to stay around for 2018. We see where he's able to take that talent.
Yeah, he had a lot of he had a top 2, or he had a 2nd place finish at New Hampshire, 3rd place at Phoenix, 4th at Sonoma, 5th at Las Vegas, 2nd at Pocono. So he was a guy that was finishing up there, but then he also had some races where he got wrecked out, and it's frustrating when that happens.
He was very, very consistent there for a long time, and it's you know, things are going to happen. You can't let it get the best of you. You know, even some of the guys, you know, we've seen it from the real NASCAR drivers. They come out here and you know, they'll have a great week for 3-4 weeks in a row, and then things will go bad for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And you know, it's kind of like the Danica Patrick syndrome almost. Like, you know, how many bad things can go wrong in a race after race after race after race. So,
well, I'm the Danica Patrick of this league.
I was going to say, Martin, you know all about that, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I always call it the Wenzel luck. Looks like we're going to get the 1 to go here next time by. What do you think? Let's see, we have 50 laps here. I didn't see the leaders pit. This 1 caution, they should be able to make it on fuel, correct?
I think so. This just 50 laps here. This is kind of just a shootout race. It is for fun. Based off how we have things set up in these settings. I think they should be okay on fuel, but question is, here towards the end of the run, as the cars get lighter and the tires get older, it kind of makes you wonder if these guys are going to, if they're going to start to slip and slide as they head into these corners. I know hugging down on that yellow line can be tough. Here we go, back to the green flag. Looks like Anthony Burrows gets a good start just behind Eric Johnson there. He stayed right with him on that outside line. We'll see if he has somebody to push him or if he's going to fall back like Daniel Hallis did early in this race. That 13 really needs to suck up to the 62, and the 21 and the 2 need to follow just behind her. Somebody needs to jump up there with them. Otherwise, the 62 and the 13 are both going to fall back and lose significant positions on this restart.
I feel stupid. I was stuck in replay when I said 1 to go. Absolutely. But that outside line, it could take 5 cars to even make something happen. It really just isn't enough speed with the fixed setup. But let's see if they can do something with it here. And if you notice, everyone's kind of, dodging and weaving a little bit. They're not really holding a good straight line except for the car in the front. I think it's just because they can't see or they're some handling issues.
Honestly, here at Daytona, I don't think it has a matter to do with handling issues. Some of these guys, for those that don't know, some people here watch, some people play iRacing, some people don't. They just come out and they tune in to watch. But there's multiple steering ratios you can go with. So you can set the wheel to kind of bend at your every whim. But the negative thing about that is that if you go to turn into a corner, it's going to start scraping rubber off your tires, and it's going to wear your tires down a lot faster than it needs to. So some of these guys might be bouncing around because their steering ratios set a little too low, maybe an 8-to-1 or a 10-to-1 instead of a 16-to-1 like I would assume most of these drivers are riding.
And always remember, it is iRacing, so you do have a little bit of latency issues as well with the internet. So that leads to a little bit of the bouncing around sometimes.
There can be, especially for people like yourself who are coming to us from China, Martin.
Yeah, I actually don't have that much trouble usually with that.
So for anybody watching the broadcast right now, I'm actually going to refresh paints here. I realized I didn't have all my paints updated. Some of these guys have moved to new schemes within the last week, and some of those aren't completely reset for me, so I'm going to try to get those refreshed in game. Make sure that all the awesome paint schemes that these guys come up with every week are actually presented to you guys here tonight on the broadcast.
While you do that, I want to point out that Taylor Bowman, he's got enough damage where he's no longer able to keep up with the draft. And it also looks like Brandon Redd and Clay Phillips are in danger of losing the main draft.
Go up and look at, yeah, Brandon Redd, Clay Phillips. It looks like they're struggling hard. They call that kind of the fourth car syndrome here at Daytona and at Talladega, some of these restrictor plates tracks. If you're that car that's in the back, a 3-car draft can normally keep pace with the rest of the field. You get to a 4-car draft, and it can be really, really tough unless anybody wiggles up or anything in the corners for that 4th car to keep up. And that kind of looks like what's happening to Clay Phillips back here in the number 6. He just can't keep up with these guys, and he's slowly losing the draft inch by inch.
And they both have some front-end damage, at least Brandon Redd does.
I see
Springer, though, popped out at the back straight. What if that was about?
I see Brandon Redd's left front fender is dented up a little bit, just over his wheel well there. It looks like he's able to stick around. As you guys see, some of the cars are turning white here. That is my trading paint slowly updating to bring you all of these guys' awesome paint schemes.
Richard Springer's taking a wide exit out of 2. Do you think that's going to help him stay with the front pack, or do you think it's just going to cost him in the end?
Honestly, I think it might be helping him just a little bit. As long as he doesn't stay up there for too long in that middle lane, Jordan, what he's basically doing is allowing the car to coast itself up there. He seems to be doing it more often than you would expect. I don't know if maybe his car's running a little bit hot. I don't know if he got a little bit of damage earlier, but he seems to be coasting up just a hair to allow his car to maintain speed coming off the corner. But maybe he's having some issues because he is now running that top line as the 39 goes down inside of him.
He seems to do that quite often on most tracks. He seems to take an outside line in the turns. No matter what the track is, he seems to take that high line. So it just seems something that Richard Springer does.
I thought that was Mike Springer. I thought that was his son that normally did that.
Oh, well, Richard Springer has been racing the Winter Series. I've seen a lot of that going on.
Oh, and I'm getting a little bit of lag of the number 13
yeah, for
car,
13.
James Lorello seemed to be bouncing out a little bit there. Awesome battle going on back in the back. We seem to be pretty much single file all the way to the front of the field here. We still have Eric Johnson in first place. Wade Hustad's currently in second position. Let's see if I can pull up the driver information here. Eric Johnson is a DRL rookie. He has a huge I rating. I know he did very well there towards the end of the Winter Series, but he only came to us in the middle of it. Can you guys talk a little bit more about Eric Johnson and what you know about him and what you think he'll be able to do in the DRL this year?
Well, he was part of the A split race. Where were we at? Homestead, I think it was, right? And he took the A split win, so he's definitely capable of running up there and winning the races. Obviously, with that I rating. I personally didn't get to race around him too much. So I don't know, Martin, did you get a chance to?
No, but I have his stats here. His best finish so far in DRL is second place, and that was in the Pro Series. That's where he gets into the shootout. He had the pole at Phoenix in the K&N cars, the Pro Series for DRL. During the Winter Series, I didn't notice him that much because the few times I did notice him, he was getting wrecked out, and that was at Iowa and Daytona. But he finished strong at Texas, Chicagoland, and Homestead, finishing 5th, 6th, and 9th, respectively. So he's a guy that's have to watch out for, along with Wade Hustad and Anthony Burrows. Those guys are going to really push each other this year.
Yeah, we'll go back and look. All of the guys you just mentioned occupy the top 6 right now. As I move back from Eric Johnson, currently sitting in the first position, I move back to Wade Hustad. He currently sits in second. You'll notice at the bottom of the screen here, guys, his I rating is actually higher than Eric Johnson's I rating. 57.22 holds the A license. And if you compare the difference between their 2 previous laps, Wade Hustad was only 7/1000ths of a second faster than Eric Johnson, guys. So what we're seeing a lot here is, even if we drop back and look at the 6th position, somebody like Anthony Burrows, who holds a 41.76 I rating in this race. At Daytona, how much is it about driving the car? How much is it about luck? And how much is it about kind of biding your time and waiting until the last 5 laps to try to make those moves and make a second lane work?
I'd say the biggest is luck.
It can definitely be crazy, but that also, you know, mentioning that, Martin, that kind of makes you wonder, how does a guy like Dale Earnhardt Jr. do so well on these plate tracks every year?
You have the people who basically forge their destinies in some sense, and it's unfortunate Junior wasn't able to do so with a championship, but definitely at a track like this, where in the professional, you were able to, you know, make a move, get up to the front, pass people, and then just stop the run. Here, with the things we mentioned earlier, with latency and all that fun jazz, trying to block people is not a good idea. But that basically doing that kind of stuff actually increases your luck of wrecking. So, but it looks like we have some people trying to form a second line almost, or they're just kind of fading up there in the back. I'm not sure what they're doing.
Yeah, it looked like J.R. Hager and James Arello kind of going to trying to create a second line there.
Yeah, J.R. Hager in the number 2 car, James Lorello in the 13. Look like they're trying to move to the outside of the 83 of Adam Chapman. Try to make a second line work here, but I really don't think, unless they get a couple guys to go with them, it's going to be very hard to make this work. I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on whether side drafting works here in iRacing. I know they've tried to make the simulator almost, as just like the real life thing as possible. You know, they say the tracks are laser scanned, everything is down to a T, the cars run exactly like they do in real life, but from your guys' experience, have you really seen much side drafting on these plate tracks? Is it wise to stick next to the car next to you, or should you give them some room as to not cause a wreck?
For me personally, when it's one-on-one, I feel like side drafting can help, but it only gives you about a half a car length advantage. So we basically even out if you're the outside car, and then the inside lane just still has the advantage and always beats you to the line. I don't know, Wenzel, if you had any other experience?
I couldn't tell you really. I mean, it's like I get out on that outside line and you just get a good run, and you start flying sometimes, and other times you're out there and you're just in no man's land. Even though you have 3 cars behind you, that other line has 6. You're not going anywhere.
All right, guys, I want to drop down here into the in-car cam of Chris Stouffer. He is right on the bumper of the number 32 of Wade Hustad. So this is what Chris Stouffer is seeing in-car. So as he enters into this corner, you can see that yellow line is completely invisible to him. He doesn't know exactly where he's headed. He doesn't know when to turn the wheel. And as the car starts to coast up the track, it can be very, very difficult to hold it down on that yellow line without touching the apron, because when you touch the apron, we know bad things are going to happen. So if you have somebody on the outside line pinching you down towards the inside line, it can be very, very difficult to either A, stay off the apron, or B, stay out of the car that's outside of you.
Absolutely, and the outside lane's already falling apart. There's now only 1 car standing on the outside. But
Zachary Smith.
Exactly, and going back to what he was saying, and I completely forgot my point, so I'll come back to that if it's important enough.
You can always count on you to forget which point you were trying to make there, Jordan.
Yeah, so Chris Stouffer, Chris Stouffer's in here. He's got 1 win last year at Michigan. And then Wade Hustad, he's only been with DRL for 2 races, the final 2 races of the Winter Series. I believe he finished 2nd in his first race, and then last week at Homestead, he dominated the race, started on the pole, and finished in 1st place.
Breaking news, Anthony Burrow's internet quality is dropping like a rock. He's at a 36 and 33. His quality is dropping. Hopefully we don't get a disconnect from him by accident here.
I no longer see Anthony Burrows on the track.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
So, guys, there's a ton of work that goes into the DRL every week. I know, we go over this every race. Both of you are 2 of the huge helps of the Dynasty Racing League. Martin, for all the graphics that you do. Everything you guys see on screen right now, the graphics themselves are produced by Martin Wenzel. The actual implementation of these graphics onto my screen are completely done by Jordan. Both of you guys have been a huge help. But another thing that we're doing with all of the work that we put into the Dynasty Racing is we interviewed every driver in the league over the last couple weeks. We've had everybody post information about themselves and tell us, what they like about the league, what they don't like about the league, if they'd like to be interviewed, if they wouldn't like to be interviewed. With all that being said, I'd like to go into an in-car interview with Blake Griffith and see how he's doing in this race right now. You guys currently see him sitting in the number 7 car. Martin or Jordan, will one of you be so kind to pull Blake into the channel?
We can. Don't know if he's okay with the green flag thing, but we'll do it.
Oh, he's okay with it. That's what he was one of the drivers that said he's okay being interviewed anytime.
All right, let's go get him. Of course, I can find them, but now I can't scroll up to get them to our channel here.
You just have to right-click his name and then hit Move to Broadcast. Blake Griffith, do you have a copy, sir?
Yeah, give me just a minute. I'm right in the middle of the draft.
I completely understand, Blake. Hey, we were looking through the driver profiles to see who wouldn't mind being interviewed under green, and you were one of the guys who popped up and said you wouldn't mind being interviewed anytime. What's it like down there on the track right now?
It's hectic, man. We got a couple guys on my outside right here that they're moving around big time. They're scaring me, but now they're falling back a little bit, so it's not bad. But man, I'm just trying to be patient, stay in line, and make it through this whole race right here.
Yeah, we were just talking a couple minutes ago. I went to the in-car cam of Chris Stouffer and showed him what it looked like from his car camera. It can be really hard to see that yellow line, and you kind of get nervous whether you're going to touch the apron or you're going to touch the guy on the outside of you without losing control of your car.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you've got to have a steady hand to be good on plate tracks. You got to be patient. You got to have a lot of patience to be good here. These 3 guys in front of me right now have a lot more experience than I do, so I'm just following them right now, trying to be patient and wait till a little later on in the race. Maybe we can get a run and get by them.
Hey, Blake, our champion of the Winter Series this year, man. I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully we'll be talking to you after the race in one of those top 3 interviews, man. Have a good night.
I appreciate it. You guys too.
Those guys those guys in front of him might have more experience, but you know, Blake Griffiths has 4 wins in the DRL series, so he's no slouch himself.
He's
Absolutely.
not, honestly.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I've been talking to Blake for many weeks now. He kind of, you know, he gets down on himself a little bit sometimes, and you know, when he has a bad finish, he doesn't like it. He's a very competitive driver, and you know, a couple things didn't go right for him there in the middle of the Winter Series, and then after a big blow up one night, he came back the next week and he ended up winning that race. I think he won the split in the week following and finished in the top 3 in that race. So Blake definitely has the talent. For whatever reason, he can't seem to put it together in enough official races to get his eye rating up near some of these guys, but he shows week in and week out that he can stick with these top 3 guys, and he's showing it right now as he rubs the outside bumper of Chris Stouffer and takes the outside
really
line behind the 32 of Wade Hustad, trying to make those moves. Now we finally see 2 lines forming. You guys think it's a little too early for this, only on lap 26 of 50?
I don't know if James is going to throw a mid-race caution, and that might be what they're doing. I don't know if that's part of the shootout or not. Professional shootout, they do throw a caution out, but I don't know if that's what he's doing here. It's something I probably should have asked.
No. Yeah, I sent the message to him. There's no yellow flag caution. Some of the drivers are asking about that. Tater Bowman's right now in the pits, getting some work done on his car.
Yeah, Tater did come into the pits. I was curious what happened to him there. You know, he was falling back. He was completely out of the draft, wasn't sticking with these leaders. Guys, with that, the passing of the torch I told you about earlier, as Chris Stover makes the move into second place, sorry about that. The passing of the torch I was telling you about earlier, there actually is a prize pool for this race tonight. So who was in the lead there at the midway point? Was that Eric Johnson in first place in the number 18?
Yep, that's Eric Johnson, so he's going to win that.
He came across and
get
led.
A little payout.
He gets $10 in iRacing credit for being in the first position. Again, Fastlane Complete Car Care is the Cup Series sponsor for the 2018 Cup Series. Last year it was the Navy Chiefs, so they kind of went in hand to pass the torch here during the shootout. It doesn't actually count towards the 2018 series. They joined together. The Navy Chiefs have decided to put up the $10 for the midway point prize pool, which goes to Eric Johnson, and the winner of this race is going to receive another $40 worth of iRacing credits, 10 of which was also put forward by the Navy Chiefs, and the other 30 was put together by Fastlane Complete Car Care, who will be our sponsor throughout the 2018 Cup Series season. So we'll see if Eric can hold on and see if he can take first place and just collect all 50 for himself.
And really, he's actually not in the best position, because if it stays like this going to the last lap, that whole field just has to go right, and he's going backwards.
There's a lot of chatter right now over the racing chat about a lot of these drivers were expecting actually a yellow flag at the midway point. So I don't know if there was a miscommunication there between race control and the drivers, but a lot of them were expecting a yellow flag at that midway point.
There might have been, and that might have been some of Tater Bowman's pit strategy by pulling into the pits there. That might be a disappointment by him. I'm not sure you know, how things went for these guys, but we'll see how that plays out throughout the course of the race and see if it actually affects him or not.
Well, I think Tater had quite a bit of damage. He was fixing to go a lap down, and I was going to point it out that the leaders were going too wide, and we have lap traffic, which was Tater at the time. I don't know if it really is going to change the outcome of the race for him, and that's unfortunate.
Well, now we have Zachary Smith in third place. This is a guy that is in this race. I believe he either had a pole or a win in the B-split races during the Winter Series, so he didn't actually win one of the main races, just a B-split race. But he's up there in the top 10, or top 3, rather.
Richard Springer's still holding on in the back.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Zachary Smith is sandwiched between Chris Stouffer and Wade Hustad right now, so that's a formidable group of drivers to be around for him.
Yeah, Zachary Smith has shown, you know, he's shown a few glimpses here and there. You know, we were talking to Blake Griffith earlier, and you know what he's been able to do, and he's proven himself in and out. Zachary Smith seems like one of those guys. He can kind of stick around in those top positions for a period of time, but after, you know, it seems like either he starts driving out of the rear view or he gets nervous. Tell me what it's like, guys, being down on that track and knowing that the guy behind you is, for the most part, I don't want to say anybody's better than anybody, because when you're behind the wheel of a 200-mile-per-hour race car, it doesn't matter who's quote-unquote better or not. But what's it like to race behind or right in front of a guy who's been more consistent than you week in and week out?
Let me just speak from my own personal experience. I was leading at Charlotte night race in the Truck Series, and then behind me was Anthony Burrows, and it's quite intimidating to see their hood get bigger and bigger in your mirror, and you're up there. You know you can give them a run for the money, but like you mentioned it before, you start driving out of the mirror instead of worrying about hitting my marks and stuff, and eventually I think that's really what cost me the end of that, to lose that race.
Yeah, it can be sad. You start not paying attention to where you're supposed to make the dive in, where you're supposed to make the dive, you know, where you're supposed to get back into the gas in the middle of that apex. And, you know, not all of that applies here at Daytona, but on the same token, you can put a lot of pressure on yourself by driving out of the rearview mirror.
Looks like we have two cars that lost the lead pack's draft.
Is that James Lorello
13.
and Richard Springer?
Yep.
Yep.
Slowly falling out without a third car with them. I don't think they stand any chance of catching up. Can you guys go down and see what their average speed is compared to some of the other guys?
13 right now is hitting about 196 right now.
You got to imagine some of these guys up in the front are hitting 199 to 200, correct?
Zachary Smith right now is 198 going into the corner.
Yeah, so probably 2 to 3 miles per hour off the pace, and I mean, and it seems like the 13 might actually be catching back up to Derek Pemberton in the 81. Maybe they can make it happen. You know, as these guys, if they stay single file like they are, nobody really gets a crazy run, because as you head into the corner, that first place driver of Eric Johnson, he's not going to be fast enough. So the 07's going to let off, the 05 or the 5's going to let off, the 32's going to let off, etc., etc., and it kind of makes an accordion on the way back. And the guy at the very end of that lead pack is now 3 or 4 miles per hour slower than the guy at the beginning of the pack, and it kind of allows those guys behind him to catch back up.
And I've wondered that's why he was doing the floating out of the corner to kind of stop that from happening.
You know, and that's some of the guys who are much more experienced at these plate tracks. I mean, we were talking earlier about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and you know, some of these guys. I've raced. I don't know if he showed up tonight or not. I don't think he did. He was invited but did not show up. I think he has other obligations. But Ryan Hesgard, I learned a lot from him on these plate tracks, where he kind of, if he has that inside line, he'll kind of drag his brake a little bit as he comes out of that corner and make sure that nobody's going to get a crazy run coming around him out of the corner, because you know, that's where you want to pass somebody, especially late in the race. We only have 15 laps to go here. The 07 of Chris Stouffer, you got to start to wonder when he's going to make his move on Eric Johnson.
Well, James Lorello will go to the outside lane, and he's going to get passed by Richard Springer. He's going to fall behind Richard Springer now.
Well, it makes you wonder, too, Martin, is that the right move by James Lorello? Because Richard Springer was doing a great job of pushing him back up to that pack, and he was sucking up to the 81. But, you know, is Richard Springer going to be able to maintain that same speed? I don't know what damage those cars do or do not have, but they seem to be stuck in the back there for quite some time now. So they must not be on the pace that all these other cars are on.
And I noticed last lap, the two of J.R. Hager on the backstretch, he just went wildly high, close, almost out to the wall. I don't know if that was to avoid something or if he was trying to make something happen. But he needs to probably be careful with those wild moves. It might cause another wreck.
Sounds like he was trying to avoid something. It sounded like people in front of him checked up, because he was criticizing. He was saying, like, why is everyone afraid to pass each other here? So he sounds like he wants to make some moves, and the guys in front of him are content to stay in line.
You know, again, as I stated earlier, there is a $40 payout for winning this race. So not just the nerves. You know, some of these top drivers are probably in another league or two, and they're kind of used to racing for money. But somebody like Zachary Smith in the number 5, I don't know, you know, how much time. Let's go look at his current driver information. He's only a 1296 I rating, so he probably hasn't spent any time in a payout race. and he's currently sitting in the 3rd position with a good chance to go make $40 in iRacing credits and maybe buy himself a few more tracks or cars right here.
He did finish 2nd at Talladega during the Winter Series, so he has proven that he can do something in one of these plate races.
Just hearing the word Zach reminds me of Zach Wetstein and Branch's bet. How's your iRating doing, Branch?
Honestly, you know, me and Zach Wetstein, for anybody who doesn't know, we kind of made a little bit of a deal towards the end of last season about who would end up with the higher iRating before this season began. And I don't know how Zach Wetstein is sitting, but I kind of, honestly, I forgot about the bet, and I have a lot of other obligations. You know, I work a lot of hours and things like that, so I didn't spend as much time in the truck as I would have liked to, but I know Zach did take a break after his iRating fell 200 or 300 points, so I think I'm sitting at about a 1700 right now. If I had to fancy a guess, I would probably assume Zach is around 2000. So if he remembers that bet, he's probably got a free $20 waiting for him.
Just trying to help a brother out. I was hoping it'd be you, maybe, but just to see what happened. But no,
I totally forgot about that, to be honest with you, man. And he disappeared actually for a couple months. So I assume. I should be able to double-click him, check him out in the pits, and pull up his driver information. Yeah, he's currently at a 2083 iRating. So my iRating is currently sitting at about 1780, I believe. So he does have me beat.
Well, if I make a bet, I'm going to be against you then.
You can always assume a bet against me in any of these cars is a good one.
So what are you looking forward to with your truck series? Not to distract us too much, but if nobody else knows, this is Branch. He'll be the lead admin for the truck series. Why don't you tell us about your vision, bro?
No, the truck series is going to be awesome, you know, and I don't know if it's as much about my vision as it is all of Dynasty Racing League. I kind of want the truck series, you know, we're running the Cup cars, we're running the B cars, which is, in NASCAR, it's the quote-unquote Xfinity cars. It's the Grand National Series for us. And then we're running the truck series and these Cup cars as well. I kind of want the truck series to be kind of a feeder series for the league. So we're accepting anybody of any iRating level. Oh, wow, as these cars go all over the place. Oh, and everybody pits.
I don't know if that was a good move. I really don't.
I wonder how many people just sped across pit road. That is super exciting to watch. J.R. Hager and Richard Springer stay out on the track. It must have been a fuel thing. The 32 of Wade Hustad, he pulls out into the infield. He missed his pit box completely. Oh, no. There's a lot of bad stuff happening right now.
I'm surprised that they wouldn't even need to do that. I figured they can go 50 laps on fuel with the one caution.
And the 32 of Wade Hustad, it takes him forever to get into his pit box. That is going to hurt very bad. He's not going to have anybody to draft with. And unless a caution comes out here late, he's in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, it's got to be fuel, right? I mean, it can't be anything else. There's no other reason to go in. So J.R. Hager and Richard Springer got a couple laps now on these guys, I think. Right.
They have probably one lap ahead of them, but J.R. Hager and Richard Springer are going to have to pit, correct? So Blake Griffith currently leads our race after J.R. and Richard make the pit.
Well, the thing is, I know you can solo this track and do 50 laps on one tank of fuel. So if you're drafting in the back of the pack, I can't imagine why you'd be out of fuel before that 50 lap mark.
And they had that caution, didn't they? Did they not go in for pits during that caution? I could have sworn they did.
And there you have it. Blake Griffith pulls down pit road, so he is not in the 3rd position. Blake Griffith did not pit with everybody else. So I have a feeling after this is all said and done, our race leader is going to be Derek Pemberton in the number 81. However, he's currently out by himself. You have Eric Johnson and James Lorello in the 18 and the 13, currently sitting in 4th and 5th position. Those two are connected. So if they can make a quick run outside of Derek Pemberton, he might not hold that 1st position for very long once JR and Richard Springer make their pit stops.
You were talking about Griffith.
Go ahead.
Griffith did pit, but that was he and Wade Hustad was on the inside line, and Griffith was going to his pits, and that's how Wade Hustad got into the infield.
Did they make contact?
Yeah, and so Griffith just went right through because he couldn't get to his box. He hit Hustad instead because Hustad was driving in that left-hand lane. And so
no.
Griffith had to go around another lap. So that's I mean, that hurt both of them.
Yeah,
Springer looked like he was going to try to make that pit and almost hit J.R. Hager, but he aborted. And
Richard Springer stayed out for one more lap. He'll be able to come around and get his pit stop. J.R. Hager is currently in the pits, and it looks like, as Eric Johnson moves to the outside, passes Derek Pemberton in the 81. We'll see if the 13 can suck up right behind him. James Lorello suddenly, after being the last car in that lead pack for the longest time, probably the last 30 laps, he is now sitting in second position.
Is it fuel? I mean, they had to get fuel. It
must have been. You know, that's another thing is some of these guys.
I would just stay out there if it
James
wasn't fuel. Why are J.R.
must have reduced. So just for anybody who doesn't know,
maybe
the league admin James Pandoff, he must have reduced the amount of fuel that these cars have going around this track in order to force some green flag pit stops here. If anybody remembers, during the Cup Series this year, we actually went completely green at Daytona for the entire race. So it looks like as J.R. Hager... Actually, J.R. Hager came out of the pits quickly enough to keep himself
Hager's
in
still in
first
second.
position.
Or he's in second right now.
Now he's in first because the guy that was in front of him just pit.
But he's fixing to get
Springer just pit.
Yeah,
he's going to get a
so now
train
he's
here
got he's got a 3-car train
Eric Johnson,
coming
Lorello
behind him.
Whoa,
and he moves
tries
up
to block it.
Nice.
And there is damage. I think is there damage? Yeah, there's definitely damage to his spoiler.
Honestly, you guys really
There
can't
was
blame
contact.
him. J.R. Hager did not stand much of a chance of sticking up there.
And he gets turned. He gets turned.
Yep, Derek Pemberton dumps him right there. Says, get out of the way. And I think that's...
You know, and that's kind of almost deserved at that point. As the caution comes out with only 5 laps to go, these guys might be finishing under caution here. That would be a very unfortunate end to this race. But if that's the case, honestly, I got to hand it to James Lorello and Derek Pemberton. Both of those guys, especially James Lorello, he went from the back of this pack to the first place. And we'll see if these guys get an opportunity to race it out for the green-white checker or not. But I have a feeling that is the end of the race.
I wonder what tempers are being thrown and flared in chat about right now.
They're flaring.
There's definitely a lot of things going on in chat between these guys. You know, conversations over the radio. There is no way that J.R. Hager's very happy with that. But honestly, you know, the 3-car train that was coming behind him, if it was 2 guys, just like it was when Derek and Eric Johnson caught up to James Lorello, if it was just 2 of them and they caught up to 1 car, what are they doing? 3 miles per hour, maybe 4 faster? And as they
really
gain
depends.
up on him, they're not doing that much faster, right?
Well,
So
it looked
not
like
only
J.R. Hager was just trying to slip in between there, just try to get in back behind James Lorello, and Pemberton wasn't having any of it. He was just like, nope, I'm going by.
Yeah, so what J.R. Hager was attempting to do there was to break up the line a little bit. So they had that train, as you called it, that train was running. There was 3 of them directly, one right behind another. And all J.R. Hager was trying to do was create a little space in there. So the draft kind of broke up a little bit, and he could fall in with those guys. Because if he would have just allowed those 3 cars to run on the outside of him, like I was talking about earlier, being the 4th car, he would have not stayed with them. There's no way he would have stayed in their draft and maintained his position, even to, you know, keep 4th. So he was trying to break them up a little bit. It didn't work out, and those guys decided they wanted the position a little more than he did.
Well, he made it. They were 3 wide there, basically, and then he was trying to slip in, and James Lorello had cleared it, and Eric Johnson had cleared it, and he was just trying to pull in front of Pemberton, and Pemberton did not give him any room and just said, nope, I'm not easing off to let you in.
I think we're going to get...
Go ahead, Jordan.
I think we're going to get 2 to go at the line here, so I think we should get a 1 or 2 lap shootout.
That would be awesome to see these guys. Honestly, Eric Johnson, again, this is not the first time we've seen this from Eric Johnson. I think it was a couple weeks ago. He led probably 3/4 of the race, and, you know, there towards the end, right as he pit, we had a caution come out. He got shuffled back toward the back of the pack, had to fight his way back up, and only came away with a 4th or 5th place finish. So this isn't the first time it's happened to him. There happens to be a lot of money on the line here tonight, so... You know, we'll see. I've seen some awesome finishes earlier this year at Talladega, cars sliding backwards across the line as they fight for position, especially in these 1 to 2 lap shootouts in these restrictor plate tracks. So this should be an awesome, awesome finish from these guys, barring anything crazy happening on the opening seconds of the restart.
Well, last week Johnson was in the lead on the last restart, and he had not gone in for tires and everything. He was just trying to hold on and keep that lead, and he fell all the way back to 9th like a meteor. So it happens. It depends on your strategy. And this was a different situation. I don't know why he fell back there. I guess it's just he got out of the line, and Pemberton and Lorello were able to draft a little bit to get past him.
Well, you know who this helps out a lot, though? This helps out Wade Huston. I mean, that pit stop was a failure, but now he has a chance.
Now he does have a chance, and you know, both him and Blake Griffith, both of those guys are praying to the Lord. Thank you very much for giving us a chance to even race in this race again, because they had completely lost the draft. There was no chance of them catching back up, and after that little debacle on pit road, now they actually get a chance to race for a couple more positions. So again, this can go many different ways. You know, there could be a last corner shootout between the top 3 or 4 drivers, or something crazy can happen just after this restart. Kind of put a couple of guys out of this race and allow the last few to just race for first place at the end.
Okay, so 2 questions, part A, part B. Both y'all answer. Where would you want to be in this restart if you were racing? And since you're not racing, who do you pick to win?
Honestly, my answer is going to be the same for both. With his experience and his current position, I would want to be Eric Johnson, and I think he's got the best chance to win this. He's on that inside line. He's going to get the quick jump behind the number 13 to James Lorello. And with his experience, I have a feeling he can follow the 13 down onto the inside in a couple of these corners at the end of this race and shoot the gap between the 13 and the 81 to take the victory.
Yeah, that's probably where I'd want to be, is in that 3rd position. Now, in my experience, I'd have a hard time actually getting by and getting the win. And so in that case, I'd want to be in the 1st place, but then I wouldn't be able to hold off the guys behind me. So the 3rd place is where I'd want to be, because at least I know I'm not going to get dumped, probably.
Yeah, this is definitely no holds bar by these guys. What are we going to get here? Is it going to be just a 1-lap shootout here on lap number 50, huh?
Yep, 1-lap shootout. Right now, I'm thinking if the inside lane stays and outside line falls apart, your 5th place position is going to be the person who decides the victor. Because if it ends up being Eric Johnson and the 13 of James Lorello side by side, that 5th place vehicle, was it Christopher?
Yeah, number 7 of Christopher can either choose which one to push.
Exactly.
And that outside line, as we've seen, unless the 81 can stay right on the restart and follow that 13 and jump down in front of the 18, but I don't think he stands a chance with the experience of Eric Johnson. You have to drop into that inside line on this restart. I don't see a way that the outside line will be able to maintain their spots. I think we'll see the entire inside line gain a position on this restart, if not 4, and the whole outside line finishes behind the inside line.
Yeah. Well, Derek Pemberton's also a very aggressive driver, and he will do everything in his power to get down there.
If I was Derek Pemberton, this is what I would do, because there isn't going to be a black flag if you cross the line half a car in front of the leader. I would actually try to give myself that half car length advantage, and maybe even go early, and just to see if I can, get out in front, and if the outside lane may form something. Because when you get on the backstretch, the outside lane is a little faster. All right, here we go. Get ready for green.
And here they go. We're going to see who gets the jump right here. That's exactly what Derek Pemberton did. He took off at the exact same time as the 13, but so did the 18 of Eric Johnson. They are all going exactly the same speed. As we come to the white flag,
but we only
the
have
81 of Derek Pemberton.
They
really do need more. Derek Pemberton got the absolute perfect restart, and he's still going to pay for it. There's not a chance of him fitting in on that inside line. Just like I thought, Christopher follows the 18 of Eric Johnson down inside, and Derek Pemberton, can he squeeze himself between the 2 and the 07?
Ooh, if they try to block like that, he's going to make him where he bumps them on square.
And he makes it, and they go right back to single
Wow,
file.
and J.R. Hager didn't dump him there because
honestly,
remember, Pemberton's the one that dumped J.R. Hager, so I mean, there's a little bad blood there.
There is. That is not the finish that I expected from these guys. We'll see what happens as they come to the checker.
Hey, they're going to split wide here.
And Christopher dives to the inside. Can he make the pass? No, he cannot.
Lorello.
So the 13 of James Lorello finishes in first position. Eric Johnson in the number 18 finishes in second. Christopher follows in third. Derek Pemberton maintains in fourth position. J.R. Hager in fifth. Zachary Smith in the sixth position in the number 5 car. Blake Griffith finishes in the sixth in the number 7. Wade Hustad finishes in eighth in the 32. Richard Springer finishes ninth in the number 21 car. Adam Chapman finishes 10th. And he is our first car. He's 9 laps down. That is where all of those guys in that last restart end. Go and look at the next couple rows. Again, this race, guys, it doesn't have a ton to do with the actual Cup Series, but these guys, you know, the shootout was fun. There was guys from many different leagues, guys at many different skill levels. You have people like Anthony Burrows. He finished in the 13th position, 32 laps down. He was a premier driver in all of our series all season. We talked earlier about Zach Wetstein. He finished in the 17th position, 48 laps down. He was a very good driver. John Mullins, I think, didn't he win the B split in the Winter Series?
Yeah, won the B split championship for the Winter Series.
So we have many different I mean, John Mullins, terrible luck. He finished in the 18th position. All that goes to show you is this is racing. There's guys that can finish in every position on the track. You know, sometimes the luck's going to be with you, sometimes it isn't. And these plate tracks, absolutely anything can happen. We're going to come back to you guys again live. Let's see here. We're going to hide these results.
You want to bring in the P1?
Well, I just want to say, James Lorello, this is his best finish. He gets his first win in DRL. This is an official win, but it's a win nonetheless. He finished third at Talladega, so
yeah,
improving on these super speedways.
Honestly, that's an awesome finish by James Lorello. As you guys see here, he is a Dynasty Racing League rookie. This is his very first year in the Cup Series.
This is only his 5th race too. He only did 4 winter races, so
and
it's
the
only
winter races were in the Truck Series. So for him to come out here and put himself in a Cup car and be honestly at the disadvantage that he was at, and to come out of those pits and do what he did, it makes me wonder whether he took less fuel than other guys, or if he took less tires, or exactly what happened.
Let's go.
And he's not running the Cup Series. This is just the shootout because he got a pole during the season. Either in the A split or the B split, because it wasn't during a main race that he got the pole. Oh no, he got the pole at Talladega.
Jordan, if you can go ahead and pull him in here, and hey, James Lorello, you got a copy?
I gotcha.
Hey man, that was absolutely an awesome race to watch. You got to tell me what happened there, man. You went from the back, barely able to keep the draft back there. I think, who was it you were competing with?
Richard Springer.
Richard Springer. You and him were in the back of that pack for most of the time there, and then all of a sudden you guys come out of the pits and you were right there to take the lead, and you maintained it the rest of the way through, man. How's it feel?
That was fantastic. I mean, it was we were trying to get the outside line to work there, and then when it didn't work, I decided to just go to the back in case anything happened.
I gotcha. So you dropped to the back kind of on purpose. You know, I thought there would be a crazy shootout there on those last 5 laps. It's unfortunate what happened to those guys there towards the end, and they had to bring the caution out with only 1 to go. But honestly, it helped you. It seemed, you know, Eric Johnson was the clear favorite coming in here, you know, based off his qualifying position and how well he ran for those first 30 laps. He was proving himself, and then, you know, those pit stops helped you. You're a DRL rookie here. You're not running in the Cup Series. Which series are you running in this year?
Yeah, I'll be running the Xfinity for points. Yep.
Xfinity
Grand
for
National,
points.
Yep.
Awesome. So you plan to show out probably for a couple of these Cup Series races. We noticed that you qualified very well at Talladega as well. Do you like the restrictor plate tracks?
Yeah, they're really my favorite tracks on here, especially in the Cup cars. I like them the best.
I got it. The Cup cars, they're beasts, man. They're doing 200 miles per hour in a NASCAR is unlike anything else out there. So, Martin or Jordan, you guys got any questions for James?
James, that wreck back there on the backstretch, basically the last caution, basically. What were you thinking? Were you thinking that pretty much just cost you the race, or what?
Yeah, when it started to happen, I was trying to follow Eric the whole way and follow him to the outside. And then when we were getting blocked there by the two, I just thought, well, let me just try to dive to the bottom here and see if I can get the lead. When the caution came out, I thought I'm just going to be a sitting duck when it comes green here, but it didn't look like anybody could really get a run.
Gotcha. Well, man, congratulations from myself. Martin, you have anything?
I was just going to ask, what are you going to plan? Are you planning on running any more Cup races this season? Are you going to run Talladega, try to capture another pole there like you did in the Winter Series?
Yeah, I think I am. I think I'm just going to run the restrictor plate tracks and Cup, and then maybe next year step up. But I figure I'll start with the league and Xfinity and see how it goes.
Awesome, James. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, man. Congratulations on your win. $40 worth of iRacing credit. Can't hurt anybody, right?
No, that's awesome. I can't wait.
Awesome, man. Hopefully we'll interview you again next week. If myself doesn't interview you, I know you're racing in in the Grand National Series. So Daniel Hallis and Chris James, those will be the announcers next week. And I wish you tons of luck next week in your Daytona race. And thanks for showing out tonight and putting on a great show, man.
Well, I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for putting on the broadcast too. Excited to go watch it.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
Do we want to bring in second and third place at all, or how much time we got here?
Yes, sir. I think we have plenty of time. Go ahead and bring in Eric Johnson, if you would.
Mr. Eric Johnson, you got a copy?
Yeah, you read me?
Hey, Eric. The awesome race to watch from our point of view, man. You started in the first position, captured the pole, you finished in the second. It was awesome watching you fight all night. Things didn't turn out for the best there at the end. Very unfortunate what happened on pit road and how everybody, got past. But congrats on second. You want to give any insight on exactly what happened on that last restart and why you couldn't really get around James Lorello there towards the end?
Yeah, the first. Yeah, I don't know. My car just wouldn't get going. I couldn't get a run on him on that last part. I don't know if I had damage from that contact from the caution or what, but I don't know. I thought I'd a little more of get a better run on him, but it didn't happen.
Well, as soon as the two was blocking you guys, I noticed that after you slowed up and went high, I saw immediate spoiler damage to the two. So you might have had some damage there. What were you thinking with that last caution? Were you trying to make some allies behind you to see if they push you, or?
Well, I was trying to figure out what position would be the best, and I figured third would be good because I'd get a good run on the inside and push him and just make my move on the outside of exit of 4. And I thought I'd be able to do it, but I just the car wouldn't go.
Eric, you're not the only one that thought that, man. As we came around with 1 or 2 to go there before that last lap shootout, Jordan asked the same exact question. He said, where would you want to be and what position would you put yourself in if you were on the track? And I said, listen, based off his experience, I would want to be Eric Johnson right now because that third position, you've got the opportunity to shoot that gap coming out of 4 on that very last, the end of the restart. And you've also got the opportunity to follow right behind the leader as you come across the line. And it kind of looked like to me that Derek Pemberton just got such a crazy good start there at the end. I know he finished in the 4th position, not 3rd, but that's mainly because he didn't have anybody pushing him. He just got such a great start, and there was nobody. You and James Lorello also got great starts. So Chris Stouffer wasn't hot enough on your bumper to push you around and give you the run that you needed to pass James Lorello. Do you think it was your car, or do you think you didn't have enough help from behind?
Man, it's tough to say. I think all the above. I didn't have enough help, and I don't think I was quite close enough on the exit of 4 to get the side draft like I wanted. And he just had a little bit too much of a gap for me to make up. I kind of saw that going on to the back, out of 4, and I knew it was over.
All right. Well, congratulations on the 2nd place finish, man. I know, this shootout doesn't pay, a bunch of money like to anybody but first place. But what series are you running with us this year?
I'm registered to do Cup. Go for a championship there.
Awesome. So we'll see you again next week. Congratulations again on your second place finish. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Just everybody with a Dynasty Racing League and putting on the event.
Well, not just next week. We still got the qualifying. There's duels coming up. So
Yeah, the duels are coming up. Are you going to be competing in those, Eric?
Yeah, my bedtime's pretty early. I'm gonna try to make it. See what I can do.
All right, man. Well, hopefully we'll be interviewing you again in a couple hours. Have a good night.
All right, thanks. See you.
All right, if somebody wants to pull in Chris Stouffer, our third place finisher.
Oh,
Chris,
yeah,
You got a copy?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we do hear you. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing pretty well.
Third place finish, man. It seemed like you were kind of stuck in third place all night. You couldn't advance much. You couldn't do a whole lot. Those guys came out of the pits, and James Lorello got a crazy fortunate positioning coming out of the pit stop there. You started in fourth position. You finished in third. I know you're one of the higher I ratings in these races. Are you running the Cup Series with us this year?
Yes, I am running the Cup Series.
All right, so this is kind of a nice little practice race before these duels get going later. What was it like? I mean, was the car getting loose going into those corners there towards the end? I mean, and then, to follow up on that, the whole pit stop that happened in the middle of that race there, we didn't expect it. We thought you had enough fuel to go the whole 50 laps, and then 6 cars pitted out of nowhere, and brakes were slammed on, and smoke was flying everywhere. And, what was it like down there on the track?
Well, after the pit, I took 2 tires. I think most of the guys just took a couple gallons of gas and got right back out there. And that's I was thinking about that, but at the same time, I haven't ran a race in probably a month, so I didn't know what to expect. So I took the conservative route, put 2 tires on it, but I missed my pit box, slid right through it. Again, not racing for about a month. I'm a little rusty, and so yeah, I had to kind of overcome that. I was glad to see that caution, but like you said, I was kind of stuck there in third place for most of the race. Just really didn't have anywhere I could gone. I wanted to move to the outside, try to lead there at halfway, or try to do something at the end, but I couldn't get a run at the end, and it seemed like I just kept getting boxed in. So I was happy with third place, especially kind of having a little rust knock off.
Yeah, Eric Johnson kind of felt like we just interviewed him. He said he kind of felt the same way. You were right behind him there towards the end, and he couldn't tell if maybe he had some damage to his car or if maybe he wasn't getting enough of a push from behind. But you just said the same thing he said. He just wasn't getting enough of a run to come up and take that position on the outside of James Lorello. So, maybe Eric Johnson did have a little bit of damage, and you just, you couldn't suck up and push him enough around to get around the 13 there at the end.
Yeah, it was really hard with that one lap. I mean, if there's 2 laps, I think we probably could have done something, but with only one lap with the restrictor plates, and we kind of got all bottled up, it felt like there at the beginning, around that restart, I should say. I had to check up quite a few times going through the gears. So, this could have went this way or that could have went that way. You could say all kinds of stuff, but it was a lot of fun out there, and, I'll take third place.
Awesome, man. Martin, Jordan, you guys got anything for Chris?
Oh, Chris, I was just telling him during the broadcast, though, that you were basically going to be the one to decide who wins this race, picking between Eric and the 13 of James Lorello. Did you have that in your mind, or were you just pretty much going to say, I'm going to try to win it from 5th place?
Well, I knew that going into the lap. I said, it's going to take a miracle. These guys are either going to have to wreck out, and I'm just going to have to, squeak through there, or I'm just going to kind of pick one to follow. But because it didn't feel like, the 18 car had that good of a run right there, I just chose to stay in my line and, maybe pick up one more spot. Who knows what would have happened there, because anything could happen. Somebody can make a wrong move. But, it's split-second decisions, and I just kind of hung tight where I was and, played it out to the end.
Yeah, it's got to be tough coming out of 4 on that last lap to decide, do I follow the 18 of Eric Johnson or do I stick low on James Lorello and try to pass one or the other, man? No way it's an easy decision. You got to choose one or the other and just go for it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I just just played it safe. That's kind of what I was doing all night, and kind of usually what I do during the races. And at the same time, like you said, I got a higher I rating, and that's, I think the key to getting it is getting up there in I rating is just being patient, picking your battles.
Yeah, man. 10 top fives rather than one win and finishing towards the back for the other 9 is definitely the way to go. Consistency is all that matters. So, thanks for interviewing with us tonight. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish. Anybody you want to give a shout out to, man?
I'll give a shout out to my wife and kids. Thanks to the wife for letting me do this, and the kids, I love you.
Awesome, man. You have a good night, Chris. Hopefully, we'll see you very soon in the broadcast booth, my friend.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, Martin and Jordan. That
was
that was absolutely an amazing race, man. It's unfortunate that it had to be a 1-lap shootout. I wish we would have got to see that second lap of full speed action there at the end. I'm going to go ahead and pull up those unofficial results again one more time. Let's see here. We got James Lorello, Eric Johnson, Chris Stouffer, Derek Pemberton, J.R. Hager, Zachary Smith, Blake Griffith, Wade Hustad, Richard Springer, Adam Chapman rounds out the top 10. Brandon Red, Tater Bowman, Anthony Burrows, Clay Phillips, Daniel Hollis, David Wright, Zach Wetstein, John Mullins, and Ray Vasquez is the last place finisher in the race. Awesome race tonight, guys. You guys have anything else to add before I show some credits here and get ready to go offline? And we'll be back live again, guys. We'll be coming back live in about 15 minutes or so for the duels. I'll have more info when that time comes, but the duels is the very beginning of the 2018 season. It's actually going to be the qualifying for next week's Daytona 250, the very first race of the Cup Series and Dynasty Racing League. All of it's going to be brought to you by me and Martin Wenzel, live, like I said, in about 15 minutes or so. Anything else from you two?
Well, I just want to give you guys thanks for taking time out of your day to do the broadcasting, and I look forward to being part of your broadcast as a driver. So if you guys can pull me in anytime you want. So
awesome, Jordan, man. I look forward to interviewing you in the future.
Yeah, Jordan's going to be doing the duels now. Yeah, with about those duels, I mean, they're going to be qualifying, and then the duels will be we'll set the field for 3rd through however many cars there are. 1st and 2nd will be locked in after individual qualifying, but then the duels will let drivers perhaps improve their starting position for the Daytona 250 next week.
I'm going to go ahead and pull up the credits now, show everybody exactly what happens behind the scenes here at Dynasty Racing League. James Pandolf, Tater Bowman, the two, co-owners of the league. James Pandolf got all this started last year. Tater Bowman supplied the financing to go towards the Cup Series last year. I've explained that throughout the night tonight, guys. The payouts were done both by Tater Bowman and the Navy Chiefs. They were also done by Fastlane Complete Car Care, which is our sponsor for the Cup Series this year. All of that. Daniel Hollis has helped out with all of that, obtaining those sponsorships. The graphics, Martin Wenzel and Jordan, both of you guys, thank you guys a ton. I know you're joining me in the booth tonight, but you guys have done absolute tremendous work behind the scenes to get all this stuff together and get these graphics set up for everybody. Jordan, Martin, again, technical marketing. Jordan has helped, get a couple sponsorships this season as well. All the broadcasting that's going to go on. Daniel Hollis and Chris James will be broadcasting on Monday nights. David Wellborn will be broadcasting on Wednesday nights. Myself, Martin Wenzel, will be broadcasting on Tuesdays. Is Taylor BB, is he the one joining David Wellborn on Wednesdays?
I think I'd have to confirm with James. I don't have the list offhand.
All right, we'll get all that together for next week, but expect us live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night at 9:30 for the rest of the NASCAR season. We're going to be here. Everybody's going to get plenty of the practice. We're following the exact NASCAR schedule. These races are going to be super exciting, entertaining for everybody. Very few cautions tonight. We plan for it to be similar throughout the 2018 season. Thanks to everybody with the DRL, and thanks to all of our drivers for tuning in. Friends, family at home, thank you to everyone. We'll see you guys again live in about 10 to 15 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dynasty Racing League TV. My name is Ryan Branch. I am joined alongside Martin Wenzel. We are here for the Dynasty Racing League duels at Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. It is Tuesday, February 13th. It's currently 9:45 p.m. So what's going on here tonight, guys? The duels are kind of something a little special going on. Essentially, what these guys did is they came in and they qualified here. Everybody qualified in this race, and then we're going to move into a different session. And we move into that other session, we're going to be broadcasting the odds from the qualifying. So number 1 and number 2 are qualifying. They will move on next week in the Daytona 250. They will be the number 1 and number 2 starting positions in that race next week. And then the finishing position of the actual dual races. So we will only be watching one of those races. There will be another one running alongside of our race. First through whatever position, I think we have 35 drivers tonight. So first through 17th and first through 18th. Those guys are going to fill out the positions behind those two leaders. Those two leaders will also be racing in the odds and even races in the duels. So essentially, how it's going to play out is number 1 and number 2. So Martin, do you have number 1 is Zach Wetstein right now?
I have Anthony Burrows in this session.
Okay, so Anthony Burrows finished in the first position, correct?
It looks like it.
So it looks like he's locked in. He has the pole for next week at the Daytona 250. Who has second position currently?
Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson has the second position. So my thing is messed up a little bit. I don't know if it fell off when people left the session or exactly what happened. So Anthony Burrows followed by Eric Johnson. They have the pole and the second place starting position for next week in the Daytona 250. The dual race we're about to join. They're essentially going to be racing for the next 33 positions in next week's Daytona 250. So whoever finishes in first, even if it happens to be Anthony Burrows or Eric Johnson in those two races, it'll move on to the next position. So second place all the way through 35th position, or third place all the way through 35th position. Those will be decided by the winners of these two duels. Who qualified third tonight, Martin? Martin, are you there? All right, looks like Martin might have dropped out. I'm going to go in here and see if I can look at my results screen. So it looks like Anthony Burrows did qualify in the first position, followed closely by Eric Johnson. Then Daniel Hallis finished in third. So he barely missed that, first or second place start next week. That means Daniel Hallis. So if you guys are looking here, where I'm at on the screen, Anthony Burrows starts in the race that we're going to watch. We're watching the odds race. We're going to be watching Anthony Burrows. Daniel Hallis will start second. Derek Pemberton will start third. Dustin Musial will start fourth. Charlie Ryan will start fifth. Getty Buckner will start sixth. Bruce Pearson will start seventh. Joseph Nover will start eighth. Blake Griffith ninth. Zach Wetstein 10th. Adam Chapman 11th, etc. All the way through this field. And there will also be another race taking place alongside of this where Eric Johnson will start in the first position in that race, followed by Brandon Dalton, Jack Presnall, Chris Stouffer, etc., all the way through. So there's two different races taking place right now. They will decide the starting position for next week in the Daytona 250. I'm going to go ahead and move over to that race at the moment. Get everything loaded up so you guys can see what's going on. They'll have about 10 minutes to do a little bit of practice, and then the race is going to go live. So let me close out of iRacing here. And we're going to go get this next session ready for you guys. This is going to be super fun. There's a lot of stuff, a ton of work that goes into the Dynasty Racing League every week. Martin Wenzel puts together all these graphics for you guys. The background you see here, the logos, everything that you see on my screen now, that's all done by Martin Wenzel and Jordan Gonzalez. They put all of this stuff together each week. So huge shout out to those guys. And we're going to go, I'm trying to find the league race right now, guys. We're going to join up and we're going to spectate. Currently working on finding the session for the next race. Let's see here. Yeah, so the next race actually isn't going to start for another 10 minutes. So when that goes live in 10 minutes, they're going to do 10 minutes of practice. They're going to do the qualifying. So they currently, the way this works, guys, based off what I just showed you, the qualifying before, that has set the field for this race. So basically what's going to happen is they're going to do a fake qualifying session. And during this fake qualifying session, it's open qualifying. They're going to put all the cars on the track, and they're going to move the cars around the track in an order that puts them where they want them to start the race. That's kind of how they have to start things. That's kind of how they have to do things in order to get the proper setup for the race to begin. It's just a glitch with iRacing. There's no way for us to set up heat races or anything like that in iRacing. So that's kind of what they have to do in order to make sure that these duels go down without a hitch. If anybody has any questions in the chat right now, it would be awesome to I see Gambit currently in the chat. I'm not sure who you are, Gambit. Thank you. I'm gonna be doing the odds race. I know you'd like me to do evens. I will be watching the odds race. We'll be bringing that to you live on DRL TV. We're going to take a few minute break here while this next session loads up, and then we will be going live probably in about another 8 minutes or so when the next session loads up. Welcome back, everyone, to Dynasty Racing League, coming to you live from Daytona International Speedway. These are the DRL Fastlane Cup Series duels. This is going to decide the qualifying for next week's Daytona 250. My name is Ryan Branch. I'm joined by Martin Wenzel in the booth. How you doing tonight, Martin?
All right.
Fantastic, man. Tonight's race is going to be awesome. We are currently in the odds race. So for anybody who doesn't know, the reason these guys are all lined up here at the end of pit road, essentially what's going to happen, earlier they qualified. The top two drivers are going to make it into the Daytona 250 next week. They are the number 1 and 2 drivers. The finishers of tonight's race are going to fill out the rest of the qualifying positions for next week. So what they're doing here, in order to get everybody in the proper position, they're pulling out into an open qualifying session. They're going to send the drivers around in order of the last race that they hosted and make sure that everybody has the exact same order as they go around to qualify. So they have 10 minutes to complete this. They're going to make sure they qualify in order, make sure that everything is set, the grid is set properly in order to start this dual race here. Martin, can you explain a little bit about what it's like to race here around Daytona and exactly... I know it looks easy on TV, right? It looks super easy. You drive in a single file line on the yellow line all the way around the track. You're all doing 200 miles per hour or whatever. It can't be that hard to control a car. You know, everyone's driven on the highway. What is it like, really, to be behind the wheel of one of these cars and not to be able to see 2 feet in front of you?
Well, I'll speak to the easy part first. It is an easier track to run in the sense that you don't really have to do much with your brakes or accelerator. But if you are actually going to be a good driver, you do a lot with your accelerator. You are going to be modulating that thing because you want to stay off you don't want to run over the guy in front of you. And especially when you're going into those corners, it is very hard to see that yellow line, the apron, the separation between the apron and the racing surface. And it is especially on iRacing, because you do have a little bobbing, weaving that might be because the other drivers are actually bobbing, weaving, or it might be a little latency issue depending on where you are on your end, iRacing's end, however it is with being over the internet, that can add a little element of a little trickiness, you know, if you're on the inside and you're afraid of hitting that yellow line and spitting out and going up into the outside line where guys are going to be racing. So I would say it's easier than running something. It's easier in a sense than Darlington, where it's a very small track and you have that really weird, those really weird corners. And it's easy that you could just usually you could just have it wide open. You're just full throttle the whole time. But because you're full throttle, any little mistake, you shift your wheel, you itch your face and you bump your wheel a little bit, you're crashing into the guy next to you and wiping out half the field. And so it's a tricky thing to do.
Yeah, definitely not easy. I mean, I'll go to some cockpit cams throughout the race and show you guys what these guys are seeing in front of them. When you're right behind another car here, you can't see anything in front of you, really. I mean,
you can't.
As you head into a corner, that yellow line disappears on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, and your fingers are crossed because, I mean, if the guy in front of you makes a mistake or guy 3 cars up in front of you, because everyone's so close, you have no chance.
You talk about the cars in front of you, but even the cars on the outside of you.
Yeah,
how do you
behind
gauge
you and
what
outside
they're
you?
going to do? There's so many, 200 miles per hour running in one of these cars. There's no telling what anybody's going to do around you. And all these drivers have so much respect for one another, and they all try to race as clean as they possibly can. But something's bound to go wrong at some point. Somebody's going to make a mistake. Somebody's not going to pull far enough to the left to keep their car in the right spot. You know what I mean? So here what they're doing, guys. As you can see, Adam Chapman just headed around the track to go ahead and finish his qualifying lap. So what they're going to do is come to a very slow crawl, and they're slowly going to send people every 15 seconds or so to make sure these guys start on the grid that they're supposed to start on. So now you see Derek Pemberton and the number 81. He's going to go ahead and head around. So Adam Chapman is going to get the pole here during this dual race. Then Derek Pemberton is going to get the second position. Bob Cunningham's going to follow just behind him Oh, no, that was Anthony Burroughs.
You mean
I'm
Anthony
sorry.
Burroughs.
I had
Anthony Burroughs.
Yeah, my stuff is all mixed up. So I got the 81 here going around now. That's Derek Pemberton. He's going to start in the second position, correct? Who do we have? Who's the next car in line, Martin? Because my thing is not making sense based off our current position. So what they're going to do, guys, they're going to send these guys around in order and make sure everybody gets the qualifying position they're supposed to get. They have another 3 minutes to complete this. There'll be plenty of times for these cars to post the correct lap. That's why they're stopped on the backstretch. We had the pre-qualifying earlier. Unfortunately, iRacing doesn't have something set up to where we can run heats. So things kind of have to go in this order to make sure the guys qualify in position, but these guys will get it all ironed out. Awesome race control by the admins here at the DRL, and we'll make sure everybody's in line before the race starts.
Yeah, Derek Pemberton just qualified third, so it was Burrows, Hallis, Pemberton. I think, I don't know what happened. Okay, so it's not going to show you, it's not going to show you the orders in the results area. You're just going to have to look on the track.
Well, there's currently a pause. Like, everybody on the backstretch is kind of at a standstill right now. All right. Oh, here we go. We have Charlie Ryan is coming around to take the...
Yeah, Charlie Ryan, position, he's going to be qualifying 5th, yep. And then Getty Buckner will be taking off here for 6th.
Getty Buckner, there we go, in the number 03. He's going to come around and take the 6th position.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's from Madison, Wisconsin, so from... my home state.
Bruce Pearson in the number 5. He's going to take the next position, correct, Martin?
Yep, in the 3M car.
We'll go over all of this stuff again, guys, right before the race starts. I'll go through the grid. These guys still have another couple minutes to get this all ironed out. As you see, they're all stopped on the backstretch now.
All right, Joseph Nover in the Pennzoil car going now in the number 40.
Joseph Nover in the number 40. He's headed around the track. He's going to qualify in the 8th position.
Then we'll have Blake Griffith in his new CCR paint scheme for his racing team, Cross Continent Racing.
Let's go ahead and
really
take
cool
a
racing.
Look at that scheme. Like, awesome looking car. He's got the orange in the middle,
blue,
white in the front and the back with the blue letters and everything. Awesome. CCR, Blake Griffith, as you guys know, he was an awesome driver in the Winter Series. He was our winner for the Winter Truck Series. Awesome racing by Blake all season. He did well in the Cup Series last year. Some of those top IR guys he might not have done so well behind, but you know.
I'm looking at Blake's car right now. I'm wondering where he got a bunch of damage on the front of that car, so they must have all piled into each other in pit lane trying to get out there to do his qualifying.
And you know, the funny part, Martin, is that almost could cause an issue. I see he now has qualified 9th, but that could cause an issue if these guys didn't set this up correctly. Blake, I saw him when he was coming off pit road, and he
could
actually
lose a lot of time, and that could have. Yeah.
Well, not even a lot of time, but if you get an incident, it doesn't allow you to post a qualifying.
Yeah, you're right.
So what happened is that damage happened to Blake's car. It happened on the warm-up lap, so it actually didn't count towards the lap. Fortunately, if any of these guys would have touched on the backstretch while trying to set this qualifying up and got an incident point, even if it was a 0x from the iRacing application, they would not have been able to post a qualifying time. So we're hoping that they get this all ironed out and that they qualify in the proper position and that everybody grids correctly. As we come, I don't know, Martin, we're getting very close.
Wade Hustad 12th. We got John Gesko going for 13th.
And these last few drivers, they're coming in very close to this to 10:20 p.m. Spot. When do you know when this qualifying actually ends?
It might end in a few seconds here, so I don't know if they kind of mistimed this.
They might have. If anything, the last couple guys in the field will get mixed up just a little bit by not.
Yeah, we'll do some they'll probably do some end of lines and stuff just to.
They might at the very beginning. And now we see the checkered flag comes out. Only 14 of the 17 drivers actually got to cross the start-finish line there, but that's okay. The top 14 drivers, all of them are in order properly. Those last 3 guys.
15 Cunningham got in.
15 gets in. Yep. So the last 2 guys, those 2 can iron it out. And
Peterson, Lane, Lovett. I don't know. Yeah, what happened to Lovett? Ray Vasquez, Springer. There's 5 guys it looks like, but I don't know how many of those are. Maybe they dropped out. I'm not sure. Oh, it looks like it's still going though. Matt Lovett has now qualified 16th.
Maybe it is still going.
Oh, yeah, it's still saying remaining time, 50 seconds, so maybe they might be able to get it all in.
Okay, so they will be able to get everybody across the line, finish in the proper order here, and get ready to go live. take the green flag. I'm going to run this TV spot one more time for you guys. Everybody, please tune in. Join us every Tuesday night, Monday night, Wednesday night. We'll be here every week, all season long, 3 nights a week, starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Awesome broadcast, 3 different series. It's going to be absolutely amazing this season. We'll see you again in about a minute or two to get ready to go green. Guys, we are live again. Welcome back to Dynasty Racing League at Daytona International Speedway. This is going to be an awesome race. This is the odd split here. So all of the odd drivers from the early qualifying session are here in the dual race at Daytona. Next week is going to be absolutely amazing. There's going to be 40 cars coming to you, right here from Daytona. All 40 cars on the track together. Currently, we have 21. What do we have? We have 19 drivers currently in this race right now. Anthony Burrows in first place, followed by Daniel Hallis in second position. Absolutely amazing. We will, all these drivers will combine. So essentially, Martin, are you here?
Yes, sir.
So who finished first and second in that qualifying session earlier?
Anthony Burrows first, and Eric Johnson was second. So Eric Johnson will be in the other duels race that we are not broadcasting.
Correct. So Eric Johnson is currently in that other session. Anthony Burrows is sitting in. Did he qualify second here? Right? Daniel Hallis qualified first. Or did Anthony?
No, Anthony Burrows. Anthony Burrows will be first in this session yeah.
Yeah, so all of those guys qualify. They come into these duels in the same qualifying position that they finished last week. So last race, Anthony Burrows actually qualified first. He has an opportunity to hold that first position, and he will hold it through next week. Daniel Hallis has the opportunity, even if he finishes second in this race, as long as the guy in front of him is Anthony Burrows, he's going to start in the third position next week in the Daytona 250. The odds get precedence, so the way that works, essentially, because Daniel Hallis got second last week, he will have the opportunity to start third next week in the Daytona 250.
Yeah, so this race is all for your odd positions in the Daytona 250 start. So if everyone finishes where they are starting right here, it'll be 1, 3, 5, 7.
As we come around to take the green flag, and Anthony Burrows gets a nice quick run at the very beginning of this race. We saw from the last race, Martin, these guys in the outside line don't stand much of a chance in these restarts, do they?
Not really. Derek Pemberton's got a nice cushion already over Daniel Hallis, and who is that? 16 Charlie. Charlie, what is that? Charlie Ryan.
Yeah, Charlie Ryan is currently
third place
sitting
now.
in third position in the number 72 car. There's only so much they're going to be able to do to stick with Anthony Burrows. He's been very, very fast in all of our seasons so far here at the Dynasty Racing League. Every series, every car, he seems to be very, very quick around all these tracks, circuit plate or not. But that outside line here at Daytona just does not seem to work. You see sparks flying absolutely everywhere as these guys come down the front stretch.
Well, those actually aren't sparks. That is gravel. That's rocks and marbles popping up. The track is very. This happened at Chicagoland and Homestead, the last two races of the Winter Series. There's just a lot of debris on the track, and there is a ton of it.
Yeah, it seems maybe they changed the draft package this season on these cars and iRacing. So we are coming to you here from this is a racing simulator. So. Obviously, this isn't live racing. These guys aren't in real cars. That doesn't mean that real injuries can't actually hinder people from driving in these. Brady Briggs, one of our featured drivers from the Winter Series, who was actually leading at one point, he hurt his knee in real life, and he's actually bedridden at this time. I hope he's watching this race tonight, and I hope he's enjoying the broadcast. I wish he could be here with us tonight. He was an awesome driver in the Winter Series, and you know, injuries can affect these guys. So even though it might not happen in the car, there can be issues. As we see, Daniel Hallis there on the outside. What position is he in now? It currently reports him in the 4th position, but you can see him there in the Ohio Ghostbusters car. That is the number 4, right? Or is that the 72? Yeah, the 72 of Daniel Hallis in the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters car. Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters. Which league are they the sponsor for this year, Martin?
Well, not technically a sponsor, but they are the name, or have the naming rights to the Grand National Series, so the equivalent to the NASCAR's Xfinity Series.
So essentially, Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters, awesome charity. Daniel Hallis has fronted the money himself in order to sponsor our Monday Night League. He is running their sponsorship on his vehicle, and he's put up the money to front for the payouts and things like that. And he's running their paint scheme right now. So good on Daniel. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you to all the guys in Dynasty Racing League for their support to make this stuff happen every week. There's going to be some payouts this year. This series right here, as you guys see it happening, these guys are running. They're not just running for free. Everybody's getting some iRacing credits. We saw just what was it, an hour ago, Martin? There was guys that had a good chance at winning $40 worth of iRacing credit. And anybody who plays iRacing, you pay 2 or 3, 4 or 5, depending on how much you put into it. Crazy amounts into setups just to run this simulator. Sometimes up to 10 grand if you have the motion simulator and everything like that. There's also you got to pay a monthly subscription to race this game. You have to pay for each individual car. You have to pay for each individual track. Say you want to run a Ford this week and a Chevy next week. Well, guess what? You got to pay $14 each time you want to do it. So, there's a ton of stuff that goes into this. The payouts for this race will allow these guys to run more track, get more used to these cars, and get more used to driving around tracks like Daytona. And it just makes, it's going to make everybody better in the long run. So it's awesome to see these sponsorships come on board and provide us some motivation, if you will, for these guys to do well every week.
All right, little housekeeping thing. I think you need to hit the auto cycle thing on the logos,
yes,
or the
sir.
lap thing.
Now you can see the Fastlane Cup Series up at the top. Yeah, I'm not in the right position here on iRacing, but...
Right. And I was just going to point out, it's like finally Daniel Hallis has gotten into that single line. He fell back a ton. I mean, he started the race in 2nd place, and now he is back. What is that? That's going to be 14th place, probably.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. That outside line,
outside line.
That outside line is super tough, man. There's not really any room to get down. We've seen that, and then throughout the night in that other race earlier, it's really not easy to make a move. You got to have 4, 5, 6 cars go out there in order to make something happen. So We'll see as this race drags on. We're only 7 laps in out of 40. I have a feeling
right now
as
we
it
have-
gets towards the last 5, these guys are going to make some of those moves and see if they can make
Yeah,
that
we
outside
got-
line work.
Well, starting to spread out a little bit in the back of the pack. You see Dustin Eichert and Matt Lovett on the inside line. But then on the outside line, John Gesko and Ray Vasquez are trying to make that work, but are falling further and further behind as they have no draft. Oh, Wade Hudstad's now on the outside, trying to do something, but no help.
On a broadcast cam here, Derek Pemberton, you guys can kind of get a view and see what he's looking at as he heads into that corner right behind the number 62 of Anthony Burrows. He's following closely behind his car. Again, it's not easy to see these lines as these guys come through here. See how close he tucks up right there behind the number 62. And here they come again down the backstretch. All nice.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Little single file line. There's 3 on the top side. I don't know what they're trying to do there, but
Yeah, I'm not sure what Wade Hudstad's doing. He was way up there and he pulled back out and went up to the high side to join in with, I think, John Gesko and Ray Vasquez. I believe that's who that is up there.
Well, it makes you think they want to try to make a move on that outside line, Martin. But
It looks like they're starting to. People are starting to move out there. Dustin Eichert just moved out there in the 33.
Yeah, they now have 4 cars in that line, and I don't know if they can make it work or not, man. We're gonna have to watch.
Oh, sorry, not Dustin Eichert. That's Connor Lane in the 27.
Yeah, the 27, the red car. Yeah, he's headed down on the outside. He's followed closely. Who's that? Wayne Hudstad right behind him.
Yes, sir.
And now we have
So
a
Hudstad must
5-car line on the outside. So, I mean, if
He must have a
Hudstad pushes him, Hudstad has to have a strategy. So, essentially, what Hudstad
He's
was
a good
looking for
driver.
when he dropped out, he's a very good driver. So, if we pull up driver information here, Wade Hudstad, he has an I rating of 57.22. He's a DRL rookie. This is one of his very first races, if not his first race in Dynasty
This is his
Racing
third
League.
race, but this will be your first Cup race, yep.
Yeah, he's here in the Cup
Besides the
Series.
Shootout.
He wants to make these moves. What he was looking for when he dropped out was somebody to push him, and he didn't get that. Okay, so what he did was he dropped back a little bit, and luckily the 27 of Connor Lane dropped out in front of him, and he pushed.
And now
Connor
Blake
Lane
Griffith's
hard.
out there now.
Yes, exactly. So now Blake Griffith
And now
has
you
dropped
got
out to the outside line, and now we have 2 wide racing
9 cars
all the
out
way
there,
down
yeah.
the backstretch. Absolutely,
Daniel Hell's back
awesome
down to the
racing.
bottom line.
There's going to be drivers dipping in and out of this outside line, and this is where we're going to try to. We got to avoid cautions here, Martin. These guys have to be very careful with their cars. I don't think we have any fast repairs here, do we?
No fast repairs now. We're in the real regular season.
Yeah, this
That means
isn't
no
like the
fast
last couple
repairs.
weeks when you guys seen in the Winter Series. They've had 1 or 2 fast repairs in the 2 fast repairs in the split races and 1 fast repair in the main races. There is no fast repairs here. So these guys have absolutely no opportunity to fix their car. If they get in a major wreck, especially doing 200 miles per hour around Daytona International Speedway, there's going to be issues.
So hopefully that means cleaner racing. People will be a little bit more cautious, not do something so risky, knowing that they only have 1 car. You're not going to be able to just go in the pits and get fast repaired.
Exactly.
Zach Wetstein is chiming on over the radio saying, every time I go outside, no one follows me.
You know, Zach Wetstein, we talked about him a couple times last race, in that shootout. He was one of the guys who had a couple great finishes. He had a couple nice finishes in the Cup Series last year. He kind of took a break there. He's been AFK, away from his keyboard. He hasn't really been driving. He hasn't been participating in the simulator much in the last couple of months. He's kind of taken a back seat to iRacing, and it's because he had a few unfortunate finishes, not only in these Dynasty Racing League races, but in official races as well, where you have to stay very, very, very clean as a driver in order to maintain your safety rating and your license in order to run in those races. And He's a very capable driver, though, Martin. What's it like to kind of, if you can give us any info, and I know you can, Martin, because we've been over this a few times. You're one of those guys who kind of has the luck of Danica Patrick, where just the wrong thing goes wrong every single week, and you can't really explain why it goes wrong. But what's it like to run in a race like this and know you're doing well and feel good about the car and feel good about your race and feel good about your tires and your setup and everything, and then come into these races and kind of get, quote unquote, screwed over as the race goes on?
Well, that's incredibly frustrating. Like, again, that was the advantage or the fun part of the Winter Series, is that if you did get screwed over and get one of those bad luck situations, you could have a fast repair. And that happened to me at Homestead. Every single wreck that happened in that race happened in my, right in front of me, and I made it through 5 of them. One of them I ran right into, and lost an engine, but I had the fast repair. But yeah, last season there were quite a few races where I was, I'm not a guy that's going to finish top 5 consistently, but there were races where it's like I'm running well, I know the track, and then someone will come up and instead of being patient, they will just dump me into the wall, or some big wreck happens in front and there's just nowhere you can go because guys are getting squirrely in front of you because they're not sure about the track. They have more speed, but they have more speed because maybe they're not being cautious, and then they slam into the wall and come down into you. So that's something this year that we're hoping with now that we have 3 series, the splits will be a little tighter. The talent spread will be tighter, because that was always an issue last year, that you'd have some of these really high tier drivers who are fast. Then you'd have some really slow or really new drivers or not as talented drivers who would make mistakes that would wreck other people's races for mid-pack guys, kind of like you and myself.
Yeah, it can be really unfortunate, man. There's I don't know. We're trying to tighten up the fields here. We're trying to make the Cup a little more close of a competition. We're trying to include only the top iRating drivers. Hopefully next season we will be one of the premier series of iRacing. That's the eventual goal of the Dynasty Racing League. We want to be the premier series of Dynasty Racing League. We want the best of the best in our Cup Series, and we want the lower series to be the feeder series going into these. I can't believe these guys have run clean now. We're on lap 17 out of 40. And it's been nothing but clean racing. Anthony Burrows absolutely showing why he was so dominant last season in the Cup cars. He's still running out front. He's still right ahead of Derek Pemberton, who honestly had a great showing. And he was in the B split last season, or during the Winter Series.
Yeah, the Winter Series.
And he's come out here and just absolutely shown that he deserves a spot towards the top 5 in every single one of these Cup cars races this season. So awesome to see the show that these guys put on every week, and I hope it continues to be as clean as it is, and hopefully in the coming years Dynasty Racing League can formulate themselves into the premier series of iRacing.
Also, the fun part about the league racing too is that you get to know these drivers, these names become familiar, and so Anthony Burrows is a guy that dominated, but we also know that someone, Derek Pemberton's a guy that could be a top 10 finisher, top 5, push for wins. Blake Griffith, might not be the same level as Anthony Burrows, but he's a guy that's going to win races. Zach Wetstein, was up there in the top 5 last season running. So we have a lot of talent. There's some guys that are very good, and it doesn't mean they're going to win every race, because it's racing. Things happen. Pit strategies.
Well, you say that, Martin,
yellow flags, right?
Not winning every race, but at the same time, you got a guy like Anthony Burrows who just comes out and he's so consistent every week, man. It's watching him last season, guys. I think he won 8. How many races did he compete in last season, Martin? Like 12 or 14, and he won 8 of them. He was just every single week he came out
during the Cup,
and he was first or second week after week after week. And when it did seem like he lost, I think only one of his races was outside the top 10. So for somebody like him to just come in and finish in the first position every single week, it's absolutely outstanding. I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know how he does it. You can see here, guys, he started in first. He's currently first, running awesome lap times. He has an iRating of over 4,000. He holds that A license. Every single week, he's just one of the most consistent drivers we have in the league, and I'm hoping as time goes on, just like you were mentioning, guys like Derek Pemberton, guys like Blake Griffith, that we see week in and week out. Zach Wetstein, Daniel Hallis. We see those guys come out here and give Anthony Burrows a run for his money week in and week out.
Well, then you have guys like Eric Wolf, and now you're adding guys. Eric Johnson's a newer driver who's going to give him a run for his money. Marcus Ruckman shows up every once in a while. Wade Hustad. Garrett Maines is a kid. I mean, he's 16 years old. He actually does racing. He races the Legends cars, I believe, in real life. And he's on a track to try to get into NASCAR in real life. And so we got drivers who will eventually be able to push Anthony Burrows, who himself is, I believe, 15, 16 years old. So we got some young guys in here.
Right, and anybody who's coming to us here from outside of iRacing. iRacing is a simulator. This isn't a game to 95% of the people that play it. This is a simulator. There's guys who put a lot of money into this. There's guys who put a lot of time into this. If anybody's familiar with the name William Byron started on iRacing. I don't know if you guys know, but he currently holds a multi-million-dollar contract in NASCAR. Somebody like Ty Majeski. All of these drivers have made their showing in iRacing. This is a racing simulator. These tracks are laser scanned. The cars act exactly as they do in real life. The setups act exactly as they do in real life. The track feels exactly as it does in real life. If you have the proper equipment, these cars run exactly as they do in real life. So they're... You know, the guys who start on here at a young age, they have a very, very, very good opportunity to make it into a real car in real life and to make really, really good money.
Yeah, there's still going to be a transition, obviously, between it. It's not, 100% because you don't have the, the real feedback. You're not like in a real car, but
well, right, you don't have
for the most part, it's going to help you with that hand-eye coordination. It's going to help you know where to make your brake spot, your entry points into a corner. And so that's real NASCAR drivers use it as a simulation. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was on here, very active in the early years. Tony Stewart, you'll see him in races every once in a while.
Yeah,
so real guys are on here.
They're not the only professional athletes that win these things. People like Kyle Long. He's Kyle Long is a famous NFL player. I think he was the linebacker for the Bears for many years. He plays iRacing. There's many guys who run on iRacing, and to most of them, it's not just a game. So now anybody who here, they participate in the Dynasty Racing League, this isn't likely a game to them. They wanted to play a racing game, they go play something like Project Cars or Need for Speed or whatever, Forza or whatever other racing games there are out there. iRacing is kind of geared towards the guys who take it a little more seriously, and the rules make you take it a little more seriously. There is an incident limit. Once your car's damaged, your car's out of the race. There's no second chances in iRacing, if you will. So all these guys are out here to do as best they can every week. We're currently on lap 24 of 40.
Well, it looked like it was going to go too wide there, but it's that second line's thinning out again.
Yeah, the
Charlie
field is
Ryan,
just
second
outstanding
place
right now, man. I can't believe how, these guys are just running so close to one another. What do we have? John Gesko, he's the one who fell back and lost the draft, and it doesn't seem like it's due to damage. It just seems like that's kind of how Daytona works, and most of these plate tracks work. If you lose the draft, you can't get it back. Because how fast is first position going right now, Martin? Anthony Burrows, what's his speed?
Well, he's going 197 into the corner. Wade Hustad, who's in that outside line, was going 200, but...
So you got those guys in the outside line. They get the nasty run. You have Anthony Burrows. He probably gets really, really close to 200 miles per hour as the 81 pushes him through that straightaway. But if we drop back to John Gesko... 200
now, yeah, right there.
The number 8 of John Gesko. How fast is John Gesko going, Martin?
Gesko is at 188 going into the corner, so yeah, he's 12 miles per hour off at the same point where Burrows is going into the corner.
Exactly. And even if we drop back, who do we have? Dustin... Yeah, Dustin Eichert and Dustin Musial, the two Dustins. How fast are they going right now, Mark? 188, 190, 192 maybe?
190. Let's get them on this front stretch. About 195.
All right, guys. So they're barely off the pace. They are just behind that lead pack, but that tiny little bit of distance, you can see the amazing amount of drag that it puts on your car. That fresh air.
Yeah, 3 3 to 4 miles per hour slower, and that gap's gonna just keep growing because
exactly, dude.
The other guy's going just that much faster.
The amount of fresh air is great. I mean, and that's the thing for somebody like the 81 of Derek Pemberton, who's literally been right on Anthony Burrows' bumper. I don't know if we can monitor temps on any cars, Martin, or if you can see temps or not, but Derek Pemberton has been on Anthony Burrows' bumper this entire race. So his car's getting hot. Some of these guys are going to have to start to drop out a little bit and make sure they don't blow motors. They're going to have to keep their car cooled down with a little bit of fresh air. But once you drop out into that fresh air, guess what? There's too much drag on your vehicle, and you're going to very, very, very quickly lose speed. And, you know, that's a little bit of a strategy people can employ too here, Martin, where we got this nice, you know, single file line running through the top 5. If Derek Pemberton dropped out a little bit going into the corners, it would make Anthony Burrows lose a little bit of speed in the middle of those corners, and then he could drop back down in line. But that's the risk that you take if he stays out of line for too long and Getty Buckner gets around him. Then guess what? Derek loses, what, 3-4 positions just by dropping out for half a second?
Yeah, oh, there's a move. Griffith and Charlie Ryan, and now Connor Lane making a move on the outside.
Awesome jump up by Blake Griffith. He jumped up there. He was followed right behind by the number 16 of Charlie Ryan. And you see, what is it, the red car there?
27, Connor Lane. Wade Husted in 32.
They followed right behind and pushed those guys towards the front. So now we have 2 wide racing all the way through the pack, except for those 2 guys that are falling behind.
Yeah, Eichert and Musel trying to catch up. Well, there were 7 cars in both, but Charlie Ryan's going to go back down and make it 9 cars in the bottom line, the inside line. But now Daniel House is going to scooch out to the outside and go 7-7 again.
Absolutely crazy. And again, like you guys can see, Blake Griffith just does not have room to fit back down on that inside line. So at the time, it looked like a great move by Blake Griffith to jump to the outside, and now he is stuck. He's absolutely stuck on the outside. So what does he do? Does he give up 4 positions? Does he try to fit himself in? Does he pinch the inside line and try to get a little bit of side draft? The only thing that's going to keep him alive is if somebody else jumps out and follows not only him, but the 27. The 32 was just behind him a second ago, Wave Hustad, but he's dropped back down to the inside line. Nobody feels comfortable out there. So Blake is now going to lose multiple positions as him and the 27 are kind of stuck out there, Martin.
Well, it seems the comments coming from Zach Wetstein and Blake Griffith is that people just go up to the top, they gain a position, and they dip right back down. They don't want to stay out there and actually make a big move and help the guys in front. They just want to gain honestly, 1 or 2 spots and move back down.
Can you blame them, Martin? We're only 31 in out of 40. They probably got another 5 or 6 laps before they really have to battle for position. We have not seen a caution as of yet, and honestly, at this point, I'm praying one doesn't come until the last lap. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm hoping we get a nice big wreck on the last stretch as we're coming into.
Honestly, the very last corner, that sounds like typical Daytona to me. That last corner, somebody's going to get pushed sideways across the start-finish line. But
I want to see someone pull a Tater Bowman and drive backwards across the.
One of the if anybody wasn't here, what Martin's referring to, the winter truck series, Tater Bowman at what was it? Was it Talladega or was it Daytona?
He blew past me. I'm driving. I believe my engine was gone by that point.
Huge wreck happened on the backstretch of the final lap, and Tater Bowman decided to run about a corner and a half, a corner and a straightaway, in reverse at about 90 miles per hour. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in iRacing.
Passed me for position, and I was going forward. He was going faster than me, and he was in reverse.
Sounds like Martin Wenzel syndrome. You're going to get passed any way that somebody can make it happen, man.
I know. Also, I see a truck going backwards across my hood. And I'm like, what the?
Leave it to Tater.
I believe he was almost going 100 miles per hour in reverse. So,
guys, we still got Anthony Burrows. He started on the pole position here. He's currently leading. I don't know if he's not led a lap this race, has he, Martin?
He's been in the lead the whole time. I mean, I mean, Hallis fell back pretty quickly, and Charlie Ryan did get side by side or close to side by side, but I don't think he ever got by to take the lead.
Well, it's not. Hallis hasn't been following right behind. It's Derek Pemberton that's been on his tail the entire time. Hallis started on the outside and dropped back.
Yeah, quick. I mean, right at the beginning of the race, Hallis quickly fell back. I mean, he didn't ever get a nose ahead of him at all. So it's been basically a single file for those top, top two at least.
Here with Anthony Burrows and see what it's like from his standpoint. I mean, he's just, he's got clean track in front of him. All right, you guys can't see his rear view mirror at the moment on the in-car cam, but the only thing he sees behind him is a single file line. So all he's trying to do right now is stick it down to this yellow line, make sure he stays as absolutely consistent as possible. And if we go back to Derek Pemberton and look at his in-car cam, this is what he's looking at. So you have him directly on Anthony's bumper. It's hard for him to see the yellow line in front of him, and he's just biding his time. We have 6 laps left in this race, and it's only a matter of time until Derek hopes to jump outside, and hopefully somebody follows and makes a move with him.
Well, right now, yeah, Burrows is, I've been in this position I've been in both positions, first and second, and when you're in first at Daytona or Talladega, you're just hoping the guy behind you doesn't slam into your rear end and turn you. You're like, please don't wreck me.
Well, and it can be very tough too, because
if you want to pass, go outside and pass me. Don't wreck me, because that's the worst feeling when you've been running the whole race. This is lap 36 now they're going on, and Anthony Burrows has been in the lead the whole way, and all it takes is one little nudge from Derek Pemberton here, and Burrows is done. Finishing 15th.
That's the difficult thing in this setup this year, Martin. These cars aren't really designed to be able to hit people. It's hard to suck up to the car in front of you. But the disadvantage that the first place car has is that he's the slowest car on the track. He's being pushed.
Yep.
And that 81, if he really, really wants to, he can move the 62 of Anthony Burrows. And that's the... Oh, wow. So we have somebody...
Yeah, Getty Buckner just blinked in and flying into the pit road. Yeah.
He must have had an issue with iRacing. That is so unfortunate for Getty Buckner.
No yellow flag, though, luckily. He's just sitting there on the
infield there. Infield. We got to hope he toes here and we don't get a yellow flag out because of
he should be able to get to the pits here. Yeah, he'll be able to get to the pits, just driving.
He moves down on the pit road, and I don't know if he disconnected or exactly what happened there. I think he paused long enough to give us reason to assume he disconnected, but what I was saying, it's very unfortunate. You don't want to be that guy either that turns the leader. You don't want to be Derek Pemberton right now. But at the same time, you kind of do want to be Derek Pemberton, because if Charlie Ryan will move with you to the outside line and you both jump up fast, if the 5 of Bruce Pearson doesn't follow, Anthony will fall back into Bruce Pearson's car, and Derek Pemberton and Charlie Ryan will give Anthony Burrows a run for his money. You just have to wait until the right time to do it.
Well, and I hope he doesn't take this the wrong way, but Derek Pemberton is a guy that will move you to take the lead. And he may wreck himself doing it, but Derek Pemberton is a guy who will put his bumper into Anthony Burrows in these next 2 laps.
Well, hey, he's not one of those guys. He's not one of those guys who's going to do anything intentionally, but I can tell you right now, if there's a win on the line, he's not taking it easy.
There's gonna be a turn here. I think, my prediction is there is gonna be a wreck. Anthony Burrows is gonna go sideways, just based on what I know from Derek Pemberton as a driver, and that's not saying that's a bad thing on lap 40.
Yeah, I mean, it's NASCAR, man. Derek Pemberton is not a Chase Elliott. He's not going to take it easy on you. He's more of
Dale Earnhardt. He's going to push you. He's going to turn you.
He's more of a Dale Earnhardt. Listen, you either get out of my way, or guess what? I'm making the pass. However, I have to make it happen. The question is, does he get collected in the meantime?
We saw that during the shootout. He, J.R. Hager was, about to be freight trained. J.R. Hager broke him up. Was about to try to get in front of Pemberton. Pemberton did not give him.
Well, he's not going to give him room. He doesn't want to give up the position.
Nope, he said, nope, I'm driving through you.
Exactly.
Sorry. I've got the
5
speed.
laps
I'm
to
not
go.
letting off the gas. I'm not cutting you slack. All right, we're going
these
too
guys take
wide
the
now.
white flag.
But I don't know if Wade Hudstad's going to have enough to get anything.
I don't know if Charlie can push Derek fast enough. I mean, I still can't believe that we've come down to this. And here they go. Guys,
Ooh, and
this
Wade
is
Hustad's on the outside of Charlie Ryan.
amazing. Absolutely
About
amazing.
3 wide here. Yep, Derek Pemberton in the lead.
And now you see
Wow.
Derek moves to the front.
Nice pass.
Gets that nice push as Anthony Burrows now falls back to the 3rd position.
Adam Chapman pulls into 4th. I'm not sure if they're still teammates, Chapman and Pemberton, but Pemberton gets the win.
Yes, he
Wow.
does. What an awesome, awesome, awesome finish to that race. You see Blake Griffith take the way inside line, trying to get as many spots as he can by cutting somebody off there. That was absolutely amazing, Martin. I cannot believe that went as far as it did under green the entire time.
Now again, this doesn't count for anything besides reshuffling the field for the Daytona 250. So Anthony Burrows will still be on the pole for the Daytona 250, even though he finishes 3rd.
Correct, guys. So here's what we're looking at. Anthony Burrows gets
Yeah.
the 3rd place finish in this race with 39 laps led. Derek Pemberton, pushed by Charlie Ryan, edges him out there for the win. What an awesome finish to this race. Absolutely 0 cautions for an entire 40 laps. Awesome race to broadcast. Anthony Burrows gets 1st place in the number 60, or I'm sorry, Anthony Burrows got 3rd place there in the number 62 after leading for 39 laps. But Derek Pemberton pushes it out there at the end. Awesome finish by him. He leads the 1 lap, but guess what? It's the only 1 lap that matters, the last lap of the race. So Derek Pemberton's going to start. He'll start 3rd next week for the
Yeah. So he went from starting what would have been. So he was 3rd in this race, so he would have been starting 5th, and he goes to 3rd, so he picks up 2 spots for Daytona. The biggest loser, and I'm not calling him a loser, I'm just saying biggest loser for starting at Daytona is Daniel Hallis. Daniel Hallis would have been starting 3rd place had he stayed in 2nd place the whole race, and he falls all the way back to 12th, so he's going to be starting
23rd,
right?
Yeah,
23rd. So that's a big drop for him. Not sure. I mean, just got stuck on that side.
Derek Pemberton finishes in the 1st position here tonight.
Charlie Ryan gains a few positions there to start in 5th.
Yeah, awesome by him. He's starting in 5th in the Daytona 250. Anthony Burrows, of course, he was our qualifying leader the last race, so he will finish in 3rd tonight.
He'll still be 1st.
He will start in 1st position next week in the Daytona 250. Adam Chapman in 4th, Wade Hustad in 5th, Bruce Pearson in 6th in the number 5, Connor Lane in 7th, 8th goes to Joseph Nover, I'm sorry, Zach Wetstein in the 9th position in the number 99. Blake Griffith finishes 10th. Ray Vasquez, in the number 67 car finishes 11th. Daniel Hallis in the number 72 and 12th. Matt Lovett finishes in 13th position. Dustin Eichert finishes in 14th. Dustin Musial finishes in 15th. John Gesko finishes in number 8 and 16th position. Getty Buckner finishes in 17th. Bob Cunningham in 18th. James Pandolf, James Pandolf and Martin Wenzel, they were not actually included in this race. They just happened to not be able to.
I'm not sure what happened to Richard
spectators.
Springer or Peterson. They must have dropped out. Maybe connection issues for them.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Hopefully, we'll see those guys next week. Bob Cunningham as well. But honestly, to have 16 drivers on the lead lap, Martin, I think tonight was absolutely stellar. Awesome finish by these guys. If you don't mind, if you want to go ahead and pull in our 1st place finisher, Derek Pemberton.
Yes, let me. Where is he? There he is.
Just wanted to win.
Derek, you got a copy?
Sure do.
Hey, buddy. That was we were kind of rooting for you there at the end, man. Awesome finish for you to pull out the win. It was fun to watch, man. Honestly, it was very fun to watch. I know you helped broadcast last season with us with Adam Chapman, and for you to be a part of this Cup Series this year, it's awesome to watch you guys go out and race. And I kind of called it. I said there towards the last couple laps for you to make that move on Anthony, you were going to need some help, and you got it from Charlie Ryan. How much respect do you have for him, and did you really think it was going to come together there at the end?
I'll be honest. Most of the race, I was content on pushing Anthony because, I mean, let's be real, it's Anthony Burrows, and so I felt kind of honored almost to be pushing him for that entire race. And I said it in my mind. I was like, I'm not going to leave Anthony till like the last lap or the last couple of laps. And us staying green the whole time really helped that kind of work out. And then on that last coming, I think it was like 2 to go, I got told, hey, if you're going to go, I'm going to go with you. So I had trust. And then also got to thank one of my overtake teammates, Tyler Cox. He actually was the one that kind of helped me time out that move there, because if it wasn't for him, I was actually going to wait a little bit longer. I think I was going to wait till like turn 3, I think, before I made that move. So Tyler really helped me get up there and actually be able to hang on to this position to actually somehow pull a win here.
Oh man, either way, you made the move happen. I can't believe it happened as early as it did in that lap without additional issues happening down that backstretch, if not in the turn 3 and 4. But it didn't occur like most Daytonas we see. Normally, we see somebody finishing across the start finish line, either A, with a damaged car, or B, going in reverse. But what was the rest of the race like? I mean, I know you said you were content pushing Anthony Burrows. Were you nervous about any of those guys moving around on the outside, or did you really not feel like they had an opportunity out there?
Well, of course, thinking about that, I kept on looking, and every so often, because I'll be honest, I was half throttle for most of that race, just trying to save, fuel and being able to watch that temperature. So that made it a lot. That made it interesting. And then, I saw the outside lane come every so often, so it was I kind of had to get on my horses and kind of get back on the back of Anthony, because I was leaving a gap just so he kind of do whatever he wanted to do, and I was also letting him, if he wanted to go up there and block him, I was going to give him the chance to come back down. So I kind of had a lot of things going through my head whenever I saw that outside line. Whenever they actually got to my outside that one time, I was already kind of figuring out what Anthony going to try to do there, and I was already kind of had a plan in the back of my mind if he did go up there and try to come back down.
Right, so you just gave them the opportunity to make their run, and if he wanted to block, he would, and you would give him space. You were just riding along until those last couple laps, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I qualified 5th, which I was pretty shocked in. So I was already pushing, to start 3rd, and at that point, you got to be content with that, because that's as high as you're going to start. And I knew that making that move, it was still going to be a 3rd finish, but it feels kind of that much better now.
Yeah, honestly, man, you're starting 3rd next week in the Daytona 250. Man, I wish you all the best of luck in the Cup Series. Is that your official series this year?
Yes,
is that what
yes,
you're running for points?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the win, man. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Of course, yeah. I got to thank everyone here at DRL putting on this. So far, 2 back-to-back great races so far, and also I got to thank my overtake teammates, Adam, Joe, Tyler, Landon. Got to thank all of them for all that they do to help me get me better into these situations where I put myself in a chance to win this race this evening.
Awesome, Derek. Congrats again. I hope you have a good night, man. Enjoy the win.
All right, yeah, you guys too.
All right, Martin, if you can go ahead and pull in Charlie Ryan, finished in 2nd position tonight. Charlie, do you got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Hey, man, you got a 2nd place finish there. It kind of came down to the wire. Anthony was leading that entire race. And, we were calling it up here in the broadcast booth. We said, if Charlie will give him that push, Derek's going to take this. And you did give him the push, man. You turned a 5th place start into a 2nd place finish. How does it feel, man?
It was definitely fun. I mean, I definitely learned quite a bit. These cup cars are completely different than anything else in the draft. So there's a couple of times where I got pinned on the outside and really learned how to work the draft. I feel like I definitely learned a lot that I can use in the 250. But yeah, I actually radioed him with about a lap and a half to go. I was like, "You want to make a move, buddy? Jump to the outside and we'll get it."
Yeah, he told us. You told him, if he was ready to go, you were following. So that's awesome. You guys could work together. You're a DRL rookie here, man. What does it feel like to race around these guys? Is it awesome to run 40 clean laps or what?
Yeah, it's definitely it's cool to run some nice clean laps, because the thing I love about plate racing is, that talent really doesn't have anything to do with it. It's more of a mind game and a chess game more than anything else, and it's a completely different element than if you're racing the Martinsville or something.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. 9 times out of 10, the guy that's in that third position with 5 to go is the winner of the race. It's definitely a chess game. That's for damn sure. You just got to get the right people to follow you, and you got to make the right move at the right time. I thought Blake's move might have come a little bit early, but you followed him. You guys made it work, and congrats on the second place finish, man. You you ready for the 250 next week?
I am more than ready. I'm very, 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 very excited about the opportunity to get back involved in the Cup League. I was running a B car league for, geez, I don't know, a couple of years, but it's nice to get back on the big boy cars.
Yes, sir. You got a fifth place starting position next week by finishing second tonight. So good on you there, and we'll see you next week. You got anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Just a shout out to everyone at DRL. I mean, I appreciate y'all inviting me and just putting all this on. It seems like it's going to be a blast.
Awesome, man. Congrats on the second place finish again tonight, and hopefully we'll be interviewing you again next week.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Take it easy. Martin, you want to go ahead and pull in our third place finisher, Anthony Burrows? Anthony, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, I know you're you're a regular here in these post-race interviews. Mr. 8 wins last season in the Cup Series. You had that first place, 39 laps out of 40, man, and you didn't lead the most important lap of the race. What was that like for you?
I don't know. I was coming out of 2 on that final lap. I think Derek started checking up a little bit so he could make a run for it with Charlie. So I started checking up a little bit as well, and kind of wish I didn't do that because I feel like that's what lost me the race. But yeah, third place. I can't really be too upset about it. Still starting on pole for the 250. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, you still got the pole for next week. I know, I know the competitor you are. You would have liked to come out and win tonight, and you had you had the car for it, you had the drive for it. You were out there for, all but the but the one lap you really needed. We spoke about it in the broadcast beforehand that if anybody but you was going to win the race, it was going to be Derek, and the only way it was going to happen is if he had Charlie's help. So, do you think it was more the mistakes you made, or do you think it was kind of unavoidable at that point if Charlie made the right push?
I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. I feel like if I didn't check up, it would have been a little harder than make a run at it. But I don't know. I feel like they still would have got me, even without my mistake.
Yeah, that can be tough. I almost feel, coming across to collect that white flag in third position is almost a godsend. Like, it's all your race. I've raced a lot of races in these restrictor plate tracks here, Talladega, etc. And being in that third position, coming across to collect the white flag, unless a wreck happens, you can kind of guarantee that you'll be able to make that pass on first as long as you have any help at all, and be able to make the move to get the win. So. Good on you, at least to hold third, man. It's awesome you led as many laps as you did. Congrats on again on the qualifying for next week at the 250. You plan to be here for most of the races of this season?
Yeah, I think I'll probably miss a few races over the summer, but yeah, I expect to make most of them this year.
We know some family stuff is going to happen. I know you were absolutely the most consistent driver last season. I expect you to be one of the, if not the most consistent driver this season. You're a young guy, aren't you?
Yep.
It's awesome to see you come out here and compete every week at your age, and hopefully we all get to watch you move through the ranks and be able to compete as time goes on. I know you got over 4,000 I rating now. You, like I said, you come out and win every other week here at the DRL. So congratulations on the third place finish. I hope to see you, in the interview booth again next week. And you got anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to everyone that pushed me during that race. Kept the race nice and clean, went green all the way. Shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast, and James and all them for putting on this awesome league.
Thanks, Anthony. Again, I hope to see you next week, man. Congrats on the third place finish. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Well, Martin, that's going to close it out for the night. You got any closing statements here for our viewers, buddy?
Just throw up that next race. Our next race will be on DRL TV broadcast Monday, 9:30. Probably broadcast will go up 5 minutes before that, 9:25. I think that's David Wellborn, right?
And Chris James.
And that will be the Grand National 120 at Daytona.
Yeah, those are the B cars. It's the 150.
150.
Yes, sir.
150.
That's
the trucks are the
sponsored
120.
by
Daytona
Northeast
120.
Ohio Ghostbusters, and that's what is that? That's Daniel Hallis actually sponsoring that race. Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters. They are the what am I looking for? The charity that Daniel Hallis has put forth the funds for. So we kind of named the series after them. The Grand National 150 at Daytona. That's going to be in again the B car. It's very similar to tonight's race, won't it be?
Yeah, just different cars, a little bit slower. Those B cars have a lot. I mean, way too much power for the frame of that car, I think.
Yeah,
right?
you talk
Is that usually what it is?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a little bit slower. They're going to be about 5 miles an hour slower, and you know
Yeah,
what?
not
They're
that
going to
much slower,
suck
but-
up a lot faster. So the drafting's going to be in and out. You'll see the outside line running a lot more often. You won't get that single file crazy all the way around the track in single file motion like you did tonight. You're going to see lane changes left and right. You're going to see a ton of action. Those cars are an absolute blast to watch, and sometimes I don't know how the guys hold on to them the way they do.
Yeah, I'm debating whether I want to jump into the B car and race Daytona. Daytona's not my favorite. I don't really love the super speedways just because it is such a luck thing where one bad thing and you're out of it, maybe lap 2.
You know,
So,
for me, Martin,
we'll see.
you know, if there's something to
we're
do with
already gonna have the
restrictor
trucks,
tracks-
so maybe not.
restrictor tracks, man, I just love running them. There's no car
Yeah, I mean,
that
they're
can keep me
fun,
out of one.
but like I said, sometimes it can get a little dull if you're, especially, I mean, if you get bumped out and you're not in the draft, then you're just driving around in circles for an hour.
Yeah, it can be
So,
very
we'll see.
tough. So that's the next week's race, guys. That's Monday night. We will be back with you live, me and Martin, here next Tuesday night for the Daytona 250 again on Dynasty Racing League TV.
And
that
then
will be
on
going
Wednesday-
live at 9:25, and then on Wednesday night you'll
And
see
then
me
Wednesday, yep.
and Martin actually competing in the Truck
Yep,
Series
on the track.
race. We will be on the track. We'll be hosted by David Wellborn, and I'm not sure who his
No,
co-commentator.
Daniel House.
Oh, that's
Daniel
right.
House will be broadcasting that. Yep.
Daniel Hallis and his co-commentator on Wednesday night. That's going to be an absolute blast next Wednesday night. Everybody can look out for
Winona
me to
Road-
win. Ryan Branch.
Winona Road Truck Series.
That's right.
Yeah, Ryan Branch likes the super speedways, likes the restrictor plates. So
I love
looking
him,
for him to
man.
win.
I'm super excited. And then,
Yeah, I don't know who's on the roster down there yet, so I don't know who the guys to watch are, but I know Ryan is
I
he's a
hope
guy
I'm one
that
of the
can
favorites
compete.
in the trucks, man. Honestly,
Yep.
I hope it's not
Yeah,
just
I'm looking
restrictor
forward to it
plates.
'cause
I'll
I
be
think-
good at.
I think we'll both have chances there to do something. I mean, that's on iRacing for official races. I don't think I've won anything in B or A, but I have won truck races. So
I've won truck
That's right.
races as well, man, and
Yep.
you know, I just hope you have that Danica Patrick luck next week. Just messing with you,
Yeah.
Martin. Hey guys,
Well,
I
I'll
want to
push
give
ya.
a huge shout out to all these guys: James Pandolf, Tater Bowman, the 2 owners of the league. Tater for getting all this started, you know, monetary wise last season. He's the one who really pushed this thing off the ground with prize pools and things like that. The guys in this Cup Series, every series that we have in the Dynasty Racing League, will win a prize pool. I think it's 1 through 5 will actually get iRacing credits at the end of the season. Huge thanks to him. James Pandolf for all the stuff that he does. He sends out the invites, the emails, the iRacing messages, all of the stuff in Discord to get all this stuff together for everybody that races every week. Martin Wenzel, Jordan Gonzalez. Martin, thank you so much for all the work you do on our graphics every week. Jordan, he's the one who brings all this stuff onto screen. The credits that you're looking at right now, all of the graphics throughout the race, he makes them happen on screen. Martin is the one who designs them. So huge shout out to both of you guys. Broadcasting this entire season, myself, you, Martin, Daniel Hallis, Chris James, David Wellborn, all of you guys. All of the guys who make the admin stuff happen behind the scenes, keep the races clean, make sure people are taken care of throughout the race. Huge shout out to all of you as well. And then our 3 admins for the season, Tater Bowman, you know, he does the Cup Series, these races tonight. He's the admin for that. Daniel Hallis admins that Grand National Series, like I was telling you guys before. And then myself, I'll be in charge of the Truck Series. I'll also be running in that Truck Series. So I hope everybody tunes out this entire season, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That's when these races go live. We will have 1-hour practices, and then we're following the actual NASCAR schedule. So all of these races, all the drivers will have a week to prepare for these races ahead of time. So we're sure to bring you awesome content. There's going to
the
be
races will
they'll be clean, right?
Yeah, I mean, the races will, like, the real NASCAR races will happen. What, the trucks are usually on Friday night?
Yeah, Friday night, and then you have
Saturday's the Xfinity, and then the Monster is on Sunday. Well, then that Monday, right after that Sunday race, that Monday is going to be our Grand National Series, and then the Cup Series on Tuesday, and then the trucks on Wednesday. So we will have a whole week, because on iRacing they do all the official races following the schedule.
Exactly.
A week prior to the race, and so we'll be right after those races. So
everybody's going to get an opportunity to practice on these tracks and come out and show an awesome performance and compete absolutely at their best every single week. And we just can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
If people are coming out there and they don't have any laps on their tires by the race time, I don't know there's a problem.
Then they shouldn't be.
You're gonna have
a
lot of time. Right? Because I mean, for a lot of people, it's like, oh, they don't like to practice in solo sessions. That does get kind of boring, but that's why we're following the schedule, because you'll be able to do official races with other drivers. You'll get to experience actual race conditions, and hopefully by the time, after a whole week of doing that, by the time you get to our races, you should have a pretty good feel for what's going on and be able to race a really great race, to put on a great broadcast and great competition.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Again, me and Martin coming to you live from Daytona International Speedway. It was an awesome night. We hope to see you again next Tuesday night for the Daytona 250, and everyone have a good one.